6:05 p.m., December 11th, and I would like to open the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for this evening. I'd like to announce that this meeting is being televised live on local cable channel 8 and channel 1072 HD. If we all would like to rise to pledge allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Next, does anyone have a public comment regarding anything not related to any agenda items tonight? If so, please check in with Mary Ann to my left, and you can have 3 minutes to make your comment. Anybody have any issues in reference to something not on the agenda? Seeing none, thank you. At the end, well, 2/3 of the way, if not the end of each presentation, I will ask for public comment. If for some reason I don't ask, feel free to speak up. I hope that I don't blow it. I hope I generally don't, but if I do, feel free to be outspoken. Next, sitting on the first extended public hearing will be myself, Billy, Bob, George,
and Charlie.
That being said, Charlie, would you like to read the first continued hearing? You two are leaving, right?
Not far.
Get out of here. I will let you know.
We'll be at the bar.
If for some reason I forget, don't be worried.
Counselor.
Okay. Good evening, Chris. Okay, this is December 11th. The first continued hearing is 15 Childs Road. The owner, Martin J. Riley, requests a special permit under 174-17.1 and 174-33 of the zoning bylaws to raise a pre-existing non-conforming single-family residential structure and replace it with a new single-family residential structure with an attached garage on property located in an R3 zoning district, map 114, parcel 93, Mashpee, Mass., continued from the October 9th, 2024 hearings at the request of the board.
Counselor.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. For the record, Attorney Christopher Corain representing Martin Riley, the owner of 15 Childs Road. The board may recall that Mr. Riley brought this petition before the board at its last meeting and subsequently asked me to get involved. There were some concerns brought by the building commissioner and board members that hopefully we can address at tonight's meeting. Just for an overview of the project, again, it is a raise and replace of a single-family residence under 174-17.1 and 174-33. This property is located in the R3 zoning district. It's on Monomoskoy Island. As the board knows, the minimum dimensional requirements for the R3 are 40,000 square feet lot area, 150 feet of frontage, 40-foot front yard setback, side and rear setbacks of 15 feet, lot coverage. In this particular case, lot coverage is actually 25%, not 20%, because under footnote 16, lots that are smaller than 10,000 square feet actually get bumped up to a 25% lot coverage. So I just wanted to point that out. Building height is 35 feet, and your setback to wetland is 50 feet. This lot is wholly located within a flood zone, so your nonconformities in this case are, for zoning purposes, 0 square feet of lot area, although the lot itself has 4,000 total square feet of area. But for zoning purposes, 0 square feet. Your setback to wetlands is 0. Your lot coverage is 100%. Your northwesterly side yard is 11.1, where 15 feet is required. Your southeasterly side yard is 9.8, where 15 feet is required. Your front yard setback is 35.4, where 40 is required. Your rear yard setback is 13.6, where 15 is required. And the frontage on this is only 40 feet, which is obviously less than the 150 feet being that is required. So in this particular case, the new project will improve 3 of the setbacks and will eliminate the other one. So your northwesterly side setback will be improved, although slightly, it is being improved from 11.1 to 11.2. Your easterly side yard setback is being, again, improved slightly from 9.8 to 9.9. Your rear yard setback is being slightly improved from 13.6 to 13.7. Your front yard setback is being completely eliminated. So currently it's 35.4. The proposal conforms at 44.3. So you're eliminating that nonconformity. Your lot coverage or your coverage as a percentage of the total area is increasing from 19.25% to 19.98%. It's approximately a 29 square foot increase in the overall footprint of the structure. Most of that is actually due to the stairs, because the house itself is actually, footprint is actually getting smaller, but obviously because we have stairs, those are included in lot coverage. In structure coverage, there's a 29 foot increase. So again, the home is not, it's not building code compliant, it's not flood zone compliant. It will be, based on this, this proposal, it will be building code compliant, it will be flood zone compliant. It has been approved by the Conservation Commission. There is an IA septic that's being proposed as part of this, so you're going from a, your standard Title V to your upgraded IA. There's stormwater management for roof runoff. There are no new nonconformities. We're not creating any new nonconformities. All the existing nonconformities are being proved. They are being proved, even though slightly, they are being improved. And your front yard nonconformity is being eliminated. There is no lawn proposed. I guess part of the, it's all going to be natural vegetation. And the height is 24.3. It's 24 feet 3 inches. That is over 10 feet less than what is allowed in this zoning district. So, certainly this project is not pushing the envelope of what would be allowable in this district. And I would argue that the proposal is consistent with the neighborhood. I have brought, photographs of the surrounding neighborhood, which I'd like to share with the board to help them kind of, I don't know who was able to go down there and take a look, but
Yeah.
I would point out, it would be page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. The eighth photo that I have is 58 Monomoskoye Road. That is the property that is a direct abutter. My client's backyard looks into that house, and that is a 2-story house. That's certainly plenty of vegetation. So to suggest that, this area is only populated by 1-story houses is simply not accurate. So I would suggest that, a 2-story house, again, that is, well below what's allowed in the zoning district, would be consistent with the neighborhood. I would also point out there were some concerns about the fact that, it has a large garage. I would point out that just on the other side, around the corner, is 241 Monomoskoye Road, which is a standalone single-family dwelling with a large garage. So there's certainly nothing, inconsistent with the neighborhood from what my clients are proposing. If you go up and down Monomoskoye Road, you find garages with, that are sized for boats, if that's what somebody, or large garage, whatever you put in them. So there's numerous, you go up and down. So again, I don't think there's anything inconsistent with what is being proposed in this regard. So, again, when we bring projects before this board that have 3 of your setbacks being improved and 1 being eliminated, and you're flood zone compliant and you're building code compliant, and you're putting in an IA system, I don't know how that can be said to be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than what exists. The question before the board would be, is putting an IA system more detrimental than what exists with a Title V standard system? Is a flood zone compliant house more detrimental than what currently exists, which is not flood zone compliant? Is a building code compliant house more detrimental to the neighborhood than a non-building code compliant house which exists today? When we're improving 3 setbacks, is that more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing setbacks? Are we eliminating a front yard setback? Is that more detrimental to the neighborhood than what currently exists? Again, we're not creating any new nonconformities, and we're not intensifying any of the existing ones, and we're putting IA in, and we're becoming flood zone compliant. Those are big issues for this town. And so in all of those respects, I would suggest that, this project should not be considered substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. Under 174-17-.1, which again, the 3 requirements are not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood, no new nonconformities are being created, and sufficient parking for a resident. And that's what your elements are for 174-17.1. And again, it's been approved by the Conservation Commission. So with that, I'm happy to answer any of the board's questions. I do have Tom Bunker, who is the project engineer. I have Roger Brooks and Joel Genkea from Cape White Construction, who are the GCs, and Mr. Riley is here as well.
Okay, thank you. Charlie, would you read any new letters or any letters into the record, please?
Yeah, what I'm doing, I'm just going to list first what we have,
Okay.
and then I'll individually read each one into the record so we have it.
Perfect.
We have letters from 3 abutters, one dated 12/1, Dorothy Canoy, and excuse my mispronunciations if there are any. A letter from an abutter dated 12/8, Richard Jackmuth, and a letter from an abutter dated 12/11 for Maurice and Mary Casanelli. In addition, we have written material from the Conservation Commission dated 12/2, and we have written material from the Board of Health. So let me first go to the Board of Health. Board of Health received 12/6/24, 15 Childs Road. Board of Health, septic designed for 2-bedroom with IA technology. House is only 1 bedroom, no problems with Health Department. Conservation Commission, correspondence dated 12/2/24 from Dan Kent, relative to 15 Childs Road. Resource areas, land subject to coastal storm flowage, SCSF. NOI application received approval with a unanimous vote due to IA septic install and mitigation plantings on a lot where no natural vegetation currently exists. The following conditions were applied to the approval: 2-year mitigation, monitoring, and maintenance contract with a certified professional. Correspondence from abutters. And although it takes a little time, I think it's important that it be read into the record so that the record contains all of the information, so I'll proceed to do that. First is December 8th, 2024, to the members of the Zoning Board of Appeals from Richard T. Jackma. We are writing in regard to the requested building permit for 15 Childs Road. Our property is on the corner of 231 Monomoskoye Road and Childs Road, and is across from the proposed construction site. As longtime residents of Monomoskoye Island, we have several concerns with the proposed construction plans. The plans are seeking an appeal based on the Mashpee, quote, raise and replace, unquote, bylaws. The current property is a 1-level cottage with a shed, and the plans call for an 18-foot boat garage with a 1-bedroom rental unit above and an exterior set of stairs to the 2nd level. Clearly, this is not a, quote, raise and replace, end quote, effort. In addition, the plans exceed the required 15-foot setback on both sides of the property. The design and the sheer height of the proposed property, which takes up the entire lot, is not in keeping with the abutting and surrounding one-story cottages homes, and would certainly block views and impose on neighbors' privacy. A similar structure, seen in the attached photo, and on Monomoskoye Road, a 2-lane main road, was built on a lot 2 times the size of 15 Childs Road, a single-lane dirt road, and is surrounded by trees. Even with the additional land and surrounding trees, this property seems out of place, so one can only imagine what the 15 Childs Road property would look like. Given the narrow 1-lane dirt road, it is difficult to imagine that a boat could even be backed into the garage without impacting our property and our plantings. We are also concerned with the number of trucks and vehicles, along with a dumpster that would be required during construction. We recently completed a 1-bedroom addition, and at any one point in time, there were up to 4 to 6 vehicles and a dumpster. We had the advantage of having a large lot, and trucks would park on our lot, turn around, and not park on Charles Road. At the last meeting, the owners said that they would not have a dumpster and that a truck would haul the demolition debris away, but demolition debris is only part of the project. Our project did not have any demolition, and a dumpster was required for the duration of the construction. All other construction sites that we have seen on the island have had a dumpster, so we assume that one will be required for this site as well, and understanding where it, along with trucks and cars, will fit is a concern. It must be assumed that as a result, the single-lane dirt road will at times have blocked access to other homeowners and emergency vehicles, posing safety concerns. It is our hope that the town of Mashpee will not set a precedent for the property that is not in keeping with its surroundings or the nature of the raise and replace bylaw, and will recognize the potential impacts to island neighbors. Sincerely, Richard Jackmuth and Ann Wood. And there are photos attached to the letter. The second is notification dated December 11th, 2024, to the members of the zoning board from Maurice and Mary Casanelli. We, Maurice and Mary Casanelli, own the property at 11 Childs Road and are writing to express our strong opposition to the proposed structure directly next door at 15 Childs Road. The request for the special permit on this property is for a new single-family residential structure with an attached garage. It is our understanding that the proposed structure is an oversized garage with an apartment above. Our concerns are not only that this large structure will not fit with the current aesthetics, but would be detrimental to the residential conformity of the neighborhood, and attached to that are a number of photographs. And the third...
Charlie, if I could choose, you want to pass around the photographs, please?
Sure, be happy to.
Probably in the last letter, too, add some photographs. That way we can take a look at them.
I don't have them attached to what we have in
I
our...
think they're in this packet anyway, so we'll be fine. But whatever you can do to pass those around.
Here's some here.
Okay, and Bob has seen them?
Okay, good? George? They're in our packet, just want to
Okay,
make sure
yep.
everybody sees
Yeah,
it.
I've seen them. Seen them?
Okay, good.
Okay.
Sorry?
I think so. And the third and last letter is dated December 1st, 2024, from Dorothy Cannon, 221 Mashpee Road. Dear Mashpee Zoning Board of Appeals members, this letter is in regard to the notice of proposed construction at 15 Childs Road, Mashpee. I have happily lived full-time in my residence at 221 Mashpee Road for more than 10 years. I am, not strictly speaking, an abutter of 15 Childs Road property, but because of the angle of my house on my lot, the back of my house directly faces the side of the existing house and the shed on that property. I look over a fence and across open space on the large abutting Leach property directly at and over that small house. From my kitchen, dining room, and master bedroom windows, I have so enjoyed my views of sunsets over Little River looking past the small, unpretentious residence on the 15 Childs Road lot and through the trees beyond. If this construction goes forward, I will be denied the significant benefit and pleasure of living on Mashpee Island. The original notice of public hearing described the notice of intent application as being for purposed raise of existing dwelling and shed, replaced with ground-level garage with one-bedroom dwelling above. I have since learned that the proposed, quote, garage, unquote, would be an oversized boat garage, making the proposed final structure a huge 3 stories high. The existing modest one-level residence and shed take up most of the very small lot and sit between similarly modest one-level houses on small lots on each side. Also, I would like to know, given the dimensions of the proposed construction relative to the lot size, how there could be room for an adequate septic system. I appeal to you to seriously consider whether the proposed construction is appropriate to this neighborhood or whether it exceeds and would intrude on the character and ambience of the nearby homes. Respectfully, Dorothy Cannon, 221 Mashpee Road.
What address?
221 Mashpee Road. And that is the extent of the material received.
Mary Ann, do you concur, that's it? Okay. Board questions?
Can you let Chris address?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Anybody have any questions on board?
No.
David?
Well, I think one thing that needs to be said, and it hasn't been said yet, is the reason why we're here is not because of the code compliance. It's basically because of, in the last presentation, the owners said that they are using this as their garage with an apartment above. So that is not allowed by, in the bylaws. So I would like to note that, and we do have to, the board has to decide whether this is enough to eliminate that use, you know, as a garage with an apartment above, or is it a dwelling unit? So I would like to, under the condition, well, on the motion, that we condition that the garage is for the use of the residents of the home only, 100%. And the other thing, because it's in a flood zone, I would like to condition that they adhere to the three things they can store in that, in the garage, which is parking of vehicles, which means a car or a boat, a motorcycle, bicycle, could be any kind of vehicle. It's very, very vague on how they say that. Limited storage, which means not something expensive like furniture, or it means stuff you would keep in a shed, like a rake and stuff like that, that insurance wouldn't even bother paying for. And the third one is building access. So we seem to have made an effort to eliminate that. Is it enough? The board needs to decide that. With that said, I kind of want to make a point here. I'm wondering, there are two doors to get into this garage, and that's unusual, and I'm wondering what's the object of the second, they call it a man door? Why is that there? I mean, how is that helpful to selling that to the residents? What's the need for it? I was wondering if we could eliminate it.
I guess I would have to ask the client that. I don't know what the definition of a man door is. I mean, I've never come before this board and had to, you know, this board doesn't regulate how many doors.
Basically, there's three entrances. Well, one, you know, you got the overhead door, which is 10 feet.
Right. I mean, this board has never.
Why, Steve, why do we need the second man door?
You're talking about this is Steve Cook from Couture Bay Design, project designer. You mean the door at the bottom of the stairs?
No, the one that's out by the overhead door.
Originally, I had that as only access door because I did not have a door at the bottom stairs until the last hearing that.
Right, because
just
we
requested
wanted,
that
we
door be
wanted
added.
strictly for the use of the residents. You know, why do we need two, we don't have two-man doors in any garage in town that I can think of.
Can the door be
Well, that'll be
removed?
good.
Well, typically, if you have a house with a garage, you have a door to come in from the outside, and then you have a door to go into the building. So there's two doors in most garages. So this is no different than any other project that's been.
So you want to keep the door, but it just seems like it's
because
useless.
you know, instead of having to come through that overhead door or come through that other door, you pull your car in, and you just walk through the side door. That's typical of a lot of garages.
I mean, my parents' house in Sandwich has a door that goes into the garage, and it has two entrances on the upstairs.
Let me help explain. David and I met today, and met more than once in reference to this property. So, and I understand that David's had a couple of meetings with the homeowners and you, Chris, or at least the homeowners and maybe the developer and the builder. And what's happening is, in his mind, David, if I say anything wrong, feel free to correct me. He's not at a point where he's comfortable with his application. He has some concerns. He's trying to work through them, but he hasn't got there yet. I mean, for me, I see a 9-foot, a 10-foot door, right?
Right.
The top of the door is equal to the ridge of the existing house. And for me, and I understand that you've got abutting houses that are, you know, two-story houses, I get it. A lot of them, though, are a matter of right, they were constructed under a matter of right, not.
Right, they might not have had to come before this board. correct.
So not having to come to this board means that we didn't have to determine that they weren't more detrimental or were more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Plus,
So I
they're
think that
they're accessory to the main house.
Exactly. See, we've got a whole different issue with this
Right,
lot
but we don't
than
have
the
this-
other lots.
But this lot isn't big enough to put a single-family residence in an accessory garage that's detached, like some of these other houses. So they have to work within what the confines of what they have.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean you have to go with a 10-foot door garage and then all, you know, what my point is.
Aesthetic, I mean, that really isn't this board's determination.
It's a height issue, it's a massing issue. It's a massing issue.
No,
That's,
massing issues are lot coverage and height, and we meet all those requirements.
massing to me, when you have a 4,000 square foot lot.
Correct.
Which this is.
Yes.
And you've got the size of this piece of this home that's being built, this structure. And I understand lot coverage very clearly, okay, which has nothing to do with second story or going up, it has to do with footprints, basically.
Correct.
Okay, the massing of this house, compared on the 4,000 square foot lot, is large. There's period, there's no question about it. Now, your argument is, and that's why I'm sure you presented these pictures, is, hey, look at the next door, look at the lots next door.
Right.
One of my questions to David is, how many of those lots were a matter of right? I think you'll find most.
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably there weren't raise and replaces. in a lot of
Right,
them,
so
but-
they didn't come to this board, where this board had to say, hey, this application isn't more detrimental to the neighborhood. We didn't have to find that.
Well-
We have to find that for you to go forward with this
That is correct.
application.
But I would say, we have had projects further down on Monomoskoye Island that certainly I've brought before this board and recently, down the end that were raise and replaces, that you had to make a determination, that are much larger than what we're proposing here.
Are they on 4,000 square foot lots?
No, they're not on 4,000.
See, my point is this. It's very clear to me that a 4,000 square foot lot with the massing of this house, of this property, of this structure, it's large.
Right.
And I understand David's having a problem with the use, with the way it's being used, garage-wise, building-wise, with doors. And he's having his own issues. My issues are, for me to find, and I'm curious to hear what the audience has to say. I'm gonna listen very attentively. For me to find that, and the biggest finding that I make in any raise and replace is it more detrimental to the neighborhood?
Right, but
That's where I have to come from.
and I completely agree with that analysis. But you're hyper-focusing on the massing, and you're losing sight of all the other things that we're doing that are improving this site, with the IA system, with the elimination of the front yard setback nonconformity, with the improvement of the other nonconformities, that it's been approved by
I couldn't
conservation.
agree with you. I'm not losing sight of those, because I can tell you, the only reason why, for me, as one member, I'm considering it, is because of those things.
Right.
Because I'm sitting here saying, it still is a pretty good trade-off, but is it a good enough trade-off? And I'm sitting here waiting to listen to this audience. And the people that are sitting and living next door, which are, is it more detrimental to the neighborhood? Because they're the neighborhood, all right? So if they have reason why it shouldn't be built, that makes sense, I'm listening to that too, right? So that's why I'm saying to you, in this case, it's very important to me what these people in the audience are gonna say.
And again,
Because I do agree with you 100%, and I'm sorry, but an AI system, flood compliant, code compliant, all great things, and they all have great trade-offs. And so, love to see it happen and make sense. Love to see the homeowner have this beautiful new home or an apartment or whatever. But I also don't want to overly burden the abutters.
No, I understand that, but, again, view is not something that's protected by this bylaw. so-
Understood.
And again, these, I understand that they may be bigger lots, and they may have been by right, but this isn't all one-story cottages in this neighborhood. Again, you look at the house that my client's gonna be looking directly at, is on 58 Monomoskoye Road West, is a giant two-story house.
Which was built by matter of right.
It may have been, but,
So we didn't have to find, again, being trite.
right, but if you're saying consistent with the neighborhood, we're not being
No.
inconsistent with the neighborhood.
I'm saying the neighborhood, we have to find that it's not more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Right. And how is it more detrimental to have a a two-story house here when there's a two-story house next door, and there's a two-story house across the street.
No, we agree that, yeah, of course we want a house that's flood compliant. The other part of the story, Steve, the HVAC system, what is that, raised above?
The flood elevation.
What, do you have an elevation on that?
Well, the flood elevation is 11, and the design flood's 12, and the existing grade is 9.5. So, you know, with a 11-foot high wall height, it would be mounted on a platform
Yeah, I mean,
above
yeah,
that, up above 12. So, yeah.
Right, all right, so, I mean, so you're raising that up so we have stairs there? It looks like a lot of stairs. I'm confused
Oh,
by
no,
it.
where I'm showing the HVAC is a platform underneath, so the stairs are going up.
Underneath
and
the
this is a
stairs.
platform underneath the
Okay,
stairs.
all right,
Yep.
all right, so that's gonna, all right.
And Counselor, you were saying earlier, you know, usually the board doesn't get involved, or David doesn't get involved in these. You're right, he doesn't, because he's somewhat concerned about the application.
And again, there's no new structure here, so there's no use. They're not storing anything there. There's this prospective concern or speculative concern that it may be used one way or the other. You know, the bylaw, you know, that's an enforcement issue. I mean, I've never brought a project before this board that has a garage that the
Yes,
board
but
is conditioned
Counselor,
on
if
how
we
they
want
use
to
the
talk
garage.
about enforcement, David and I talked about enforcement today. You know how hard it is to enforce what goes in that garage, what goes in, you know what? Forget that. Who wants to be involved in enforcement?
But then you're gonna put a condition on that he's gonna have to enforce.
No, I mean,
Potentially.
it's a rule, it's a law.
No,
I
well,
mean,
that's what I'm
it's a
saying.
law.
If it's if
But-
David's interpretation of the bylaw is one way, then he has the right to enforce that if he thinks it's being violated.
But the point is, go back to my original point, it was presented as a garage for the people that own the place that are not gonna live there. And that was misunderstood before they got here. So that can't be unsaid. We gotta prove what the mission tonight is. Did they do enough to ease our minds that they're not gonna be using that for their own personal storage, and it has to be done by the residents. So by saying that condition is a condition that they'd be breaking the laws if they did use it for their own personal use. They'd be breaking the law if they're putting other things than the three things that we just said. So it's not unreasonable to put those conditions.
Rules, regulations, and conditions are only as good as those that can be overseen.
I understood.
And you know what? You know, we've got rules and regulations about, you know, about drainage systems and how we're gonna maintain them. They haven't been maintained once in this town, to my knowledge.
And so again, I mean, my job wasn't necessarily to ease the board's concerns about how it may be used or how it may not be used. I don't know that that's really I mean, I understand the massing concern, and that's, you know, a zoning concern. And, you know, substantially more detrimental is a zoning concern. You know, what I would say about the massing is, again, my clients aren't pushing the envelope on the massing. I mean, they could go up to 25% and be within regulations. They could have
As
built.
long as we would find that it's not more detrimental to the neighborhood.
No, I understand that, but.
You keep saying they can do this. They can't do anything in this property unless this board finds that it's not more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Right, and again, I would just point to the fact that we're not pushing the envelope as it, you know, to the tallest it could be, or not pushing the envelope on
I
lot
understand
coverage.
that.
Those are things that I would suggest are not would make it not substantially.
Totally
more.
understood.
And you look at the property now, I mean, it's a dilapidated building, and this board may say, no, you're gonna keep it the way it is. I don't know how that's creating
I, for one, am not saying no, keep it
No, I
the way it is.
understand. I understand.
I'm saying that, subject to listening to the people in the audience, there's somewhere between here and here. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, based on
To
the-
keep it the way it is, I mean, I'd rather see it compliant with, you know, an AI system and code compliant and, you know, all the rest, but from here to here instead of here to there. That's all I'm saying, right now. Still, I want to listen to the audience.
Right, I mean, based on the letters, I assume that the audience is gonna support what's already been read into the record.
And I get it, it depends on the conversation.
Right, you don't always have lots of people come out to a night to support
Been
this.
doing it, I get you, you've been doing it for a while, and I totally understand.
Again,
Can I
the-
make, can I make
the-
a
the-
comment, just so that I'm understanding this correctly? One of the things that we have to look at as the Zoning Board of Appeals, relative to the issue of nonconformity, usually pretty much of a black and white thing. We look at what is required under the zoning bylaws, we look at what has been designed and what's there, and relative to the issue of nonconformities, it seems as though everything that needs to be done has been done, okay? But that's not the end of our job. Second part of our job, probably the most difficult part of our job, is the more detrimental. Now, we can't go to a book and say, okay, this is detrimental, this is not detrimental. All right, that's a subjective, objective determination made by, the combined memory of the board, what's out there, and we have to look in some fashion at what the people who were neighbors of this new building are saying.
I understand.
And accept or not accept. So, as far as nonconformities, that isn't the issue really that we're talking about here. We're talking simply about whether this is more detrimental to the neighborhood. And what do you suggest that we have to look at to make that determination?
Well, again, it's a balancing test, and what I try to present before this board are the factors that make it not more substantially detrimental. So again, going from a Title V system to an IA system, is that more detrimental to the neighborhood by doing that? I would suggest not. Going from a non-flood zone compliant house to a flood zone compliant house, is that creating a substantially more detrimental neighborhood, condition to the neighborhood? I would suggest not. Going from a non-building code compliant house to a building code compliant house, is that creating a situation which is substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood? I would suggest not. Improving 3 nonconformities to, versus just keeping them the way they are, is that creating a substantially more detrimental situation in the neighborhood? I would suggest not. Eliminating a front yard setback or just leaving it the way it is as a nonconformity, is that creating a substantially more detrimental situation in the neighborhood? I would suggest not,
But I agree with everything you say with one caveat. When these people in the audience speak, they're gonna now say what they feel may be detrimental.
Correct, and that's
we need
up
to
to the
listen
board
to that and weigh that.
versus what I'm saying.
Exactly. And that's all I've been saying from the get-go.
I understand.
Yeah,
Yeah, very simple.
all right.
All right, so that being said, audience, it's time to listen to anyone in the audience who may want to discuss this application.
Don't want them to just reread the letters.
And if I could just say that we've read the letters, so if you want to discuss a letter, feel free to do so. If name and address, please.
My name is Mary Casanelli, and my address is 41 Monomoskoye Road. My husband and I wrote a letter.
They can't hear. Mary got to.
If
You have to
maybe bring the
speak
mic
into the
closer to
mic.
you. Great.
My husband and I wrote the letter. We own the property right next door. We said in the letter that we're not happy with any of that. So listening to the lawyer, he said that there's a house in the back, 2 stories. So that would make it okay for them to have 2 stories. The house in the back is not on Childs Road. Driving Childs Road, as you see in the pictures, there's 3 small cottages. The building that they're putting up is in between the 2 cottages. So detrimental to the neighborhood. They're requesting a residence. It's not a residence. It's a garage with an attachment on top, with a rental on top. They spoke about the other one that has been approved on Monomoskoye Road. That one is on the main road, surrounded by trees. When the people look out across the street, those are the people that built that and own it, so they look at their own. The back of that is a road, and then people's houses in the water. So those people aren't looking at the one that was approved on Monomoskoye Road. Monomoskoye Road is a main road. There's nobody beside them. Childs Road is a small, narrow road, 3 little cottages. So to have a garage doors next to cottages with apartment up top, it doesn't look like the neighborhood.
So I'm trying to understand. So you're saying on both sides, when I went out there, on either side was not a cottage, it was a house on either side. They weren't as small as this cottage. They seemed to be a little bit bigger than this cottage on either side.
Right. But our cottage is the original cottage.
That
I
my
see, they go back
father-in-law
some
built.
time.
Yep, my
Yeah.
father-in-law built it.
And the other one is a small, if you see the pictures, I'm just calling them cottages because they were built as cottages and then added on to, or we did ours over, so it's different.
So these three, this
Four.
one and the
There's
one on
four.
either side, have existed for some time?
Yes. Her father-in-law built them, actually, right?
And could you give your name and
My
location?
name's Ann Wood, and my husband, Richard Jackmo, and I live at 231 Monomoskoye. And we've looked across at the building that's proposed to be raised for many years. We knew Leonard when he lived there. We couldn't, and when Leonard passed away, we knew no one else would ever live there because they couldn't. So we understand that, that something would have to be done to live, you'd have to put in a septic, you'd have to clean it up, you'd have to do something. We always knew that. And when Julie bought it, we thought, okay, they're going to do something because you can't rent it out even. What we didn't think was that an 18-foot boat garage with an apartment above it on a 400-square-foot lot was going to happen.
4,000.
4,000.
Make sure the record's
Yeah,
clear.
no, that's good, thank you. And yes, there is another one, not too far away, but it's on 8,000 square feet on the main road. And so Childs Road is a single-lane dirt road with four little not three, four. Take the one on the end, the grand, anyway, it doesn't matter. One, two, three, four.
Corner of Childs.
And it is just a teeny little road. And so does it fit with the road? No, it doesn't. And are we opposed to something being built? No. But, it just, and besides the fact that really we don't understand how you could even get a boat backed into it without some kind of, coming onto our property. So, I mean, I have a hard time even backing out of my own, and I have a big lot. We have 5 times the lot size that they have. And so, so that's our concern. We just recently did a construction, so I know what that's, and I know people have talked about, in our letter, we talked about the trucks and things, and those are going to be concerns with whatever's being built. We get that.
It's going to be.
That said, I don't know how the town, I really don't know who's responsible for any detrimental stuff to the neighborhood based on the kind of construction that would have to happen to put something like this up. So that's where we
Okay.
stand,
Anything else?
I think.
Okay.
I have a question. Can I ask a question? Is that
Certainly.
okay?
Now's the time.
I don't think I understand when you were saying earlier about some law that said they could only the residents could store a boat or whatever in the garage. They'd
Yeah.
have to live there. So the people who would be storing anything would have to live above it. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah, that's, it's in the, it's a zoning bylaw, I have it right here. It's 174-25I1. It says private garage, it's an accessory use, is the accessory uses in a residential zone. A private garage is for the use of the residents.
No. And so the one that's next to us, that the people who own that live across the street. They only let their kids stay up there. I actually have never seen the lights on up above, but they only have it for when their children come home to stay in the second level. So I don't know how that would all work. If it's meant to be a rental unit above, then one would assume that only the people renting would be the people who would have storage underneath. Is that what I'm
That's
understanding?
exactly what I'm saying, that's my point, yeah.
That
So,
just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
yeah.
Understood.
So at the first meeting, they wanted to put their boat in there. It was said that they wanted to use that as a boat
Correct.
storage.
Correct.
So,
It wasn't, for the renters, or whoever's gonna be
Right.
living there, it was for their
Yeah,
own.
for
their boat,
And,
right.
and that is against the bylaws, yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the concerns
So-
is it's a 10-foot door, and we're sitting there saying,
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Average garage door is 7, 8 feet. Why is the door 10 feet high? Now, do they have a right to have a 10? I guess, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say I would vote against it because it's a
Right.
10-foot door, but it raises some concerns.
and the other thing, the man door, I mean, the reason why it irks me a little bit is, to get up to the apartment, you go through the regular door, and you control the door that goes into the garage. But this is not controlled by, this is a separate door that can be accessed outside the building.
Yeah.
Other than the
So
rental.
I would rather see a window there, if that would, but, you can have 10 doors in there. It's like, you could cut that garage in thirds,
Any other comments, questions, or concerns?
The only thing is, all the things that are advantages, like he said, the septic system, setbacks, this and that, that's all well and good if you're going to have a residence. In my eyes, they're asking for a residential, to have resident. It's not. It's a garage with an apartment.
Understood.
And that lot, I believe, is zoned for 2 bedrooms. So if they were helping the housing crisis, then they wouldn't just have apartment with 1 bedroom.
Understood. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for your input.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience?
It's gonna go on.
Mr. Chair, if I may, before you go back to the audience, can I just make
Sure.
one comment? My client, I've discussed with my client, he potentially is open to, reducing the size of the garage door to like an 8-foot door, if that seems reasonable to the board.
I think for me,
Good concession.
it's a plus, without a doubt. I'd like to continue.
Sure, and
here.
again, the only thing I would say about Child's Road, the neighborhood's bigger than the road, than what the road the house is on.
I get it, but Counselor, just, we were talking about a budding property.
Sure.
And we're hearing now that what's on Childs is 4 cottages on Childs Road.
On Child's Road itself, but if you look, like,
So we're talking about more detrimental to the neighborhood. I look at a neighborhood as that road, and I agree the neighborhood will expand beyond that road, so you have to look beyond that road. But for me, I'm focusing certainly on the road. So if you've got 4 cottages on the road, now we're gonna take 4 cottages and become 3 cottages, one of which is gonna go and leave the criteria of a cottage.
Sure. But if you look at just like 50, I referenced 58 Monomoskoye Road West. Yes, technically it's not on Child's Road, but it's basically a direct abutter. Or if,
And I'm not gonna just focus on Childs Road. I mean, I don't
That's all
think you
I'm
can.
asking.
I think, that's not a neighborhood, right? There's
Right,
more to a
exactly. That's all
neighborhood
I'm-
than a road.
correct, and that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I get it.
João Junqueira, good evening. I just have a question for Lund. So if I own the house and I'm going to have gas on the apartment, so I can use the garage for any, not rented, but I have gas there. So I can use the garage as, I just try and learn this, what the code said.
it says accessory use, private garage for the use. The garage is an accessory to the dwelling.
Okay.
It's not the other way around. It was presented the other way around, and that's not how it works.
If I don't live there, but I use there as my guest house, right? And then I can put my boat or my car inside.
No, not really. It's for the use of the residents. It's for the people that reside there. So it's really an accessory to the people who you're renting to. They should be in control of what goes in and out of that garage.
Whoever rents the upstairs puts their stuff in the garage.
Yeah,
That's
that
what
was
it
not my
says.
question. My question is, I own the house, I'm not renting my house. I have my kids gonna come and stay there a week here, a month there, and then, that's my question.
That's
I
a
have.
problem,
No problem.
I have no
right?
problem.
Isn't that a problem?
Well, I mean, we're talking hypotheticals on it.
No, I'm just asking, I'm just trying to learn, so.
I don't even know it. I don't know what the point is.
Are you saying that you're not renting it?
I'm
You're
not
using it
renting,
for
I'm just gonna
yourself?
use it as a guest house.
That be-
Well, when you propose it, we'll answer that question. I mean, you're not making the proposal on it, so.
I'm just trying to learn how that works, though.
Thank you.
mean,
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Thank you. Anyone in the in the audience? Yes, ma'am. If you give your name and involvement in the project, please.
Hi, my name is Julie Silver, and I'm the abutter at 17 Childs Road. I put together a science project to give you a better understanding of the character of the neighborhood. I apologize, I only have one copy of it, but it'd be...
You could probably put it up on the stand.
Oh, perfect. Hopefully the pictures don't... Okay. So, here is 15 Childs. And at the last meeting, we talked about that L shape on 17, and it was causing confusion. So you can... So that L shape was causing confusion because what it is 17 Childs Road is this L shaped right here. So it's a 20-foot piece of land, strip of land, that's part of 17. But you can see from here, that's the Burke's house on Monomoskoye Road West. So if this is 17 Childs right here, there's that 20-foot lot right there, the 20-foot strip. And this is the Burke's house on 58 Monomoskoye Road West. The house is substantial. You can see it. It's a 2.5-story house. To the right of that house, which again, this is only a 20-foot strip of land from 15 Childs Road, is 10 Stanley Road. 10 Stanley Road is a 2.5-story house.
You can take that out of the stand, actually.
Oh, I don't know if you want to give me a mic like that, but. Anyways, and so if you continue down Childs Road, down to the end, you come to 91 Monomoskoye Road West, which was an abutter on one of the letters. I also want to point out that 58 Monomoskoye Road West was not part of the abutter letter that was sent in. But anyways, 91 Monomoskoye Road West is pretty much a 3 or 2.5-story house as well. So they may talk about the 4 cottages, but 17, which is mine, and they're not cottages. They're year-round places. 17 is mine. 15 legally is Marty Riley's. 11 is Mary's. And despite what she said at the last hearing, she doesn't live there. It's a short-term rental for her. And what she asked us at the last hearing is if we could move this staircase, which we did. We moved the staircase over to the other side. And again, that was a little bit confusing because of the abutter on 17. We moved that. We lowered the garage, well, Marty lowered the garage door, and we answered, I don't know if you asked it tonight, but we have the information readily available, was the water runoff. And those were the 3 things that were asked of us at the last meeting, or asked of Marty at the last meeting. So you can see, as you continue down, this is the end of Childs Road, and it's 226 Monomoskoye Road, and that is a 2-story structure as well. And if you go down the road, here's the one that we talk about a lot. This one is, hold on, let me get it. 241 Monomoskoye Road, which is, I don't know, that's probably a 14-foot door. Again, we're asking for a 10, we dropped it down.
So
That
I'm
may
trying
be,
to understand, are you saying that the 4 homes on Childs are not cottages?
they're year-round. 17 is a year-round.
What are they not, I mean, a cottage can be year-round, but is it not a cottage? I view a cottage as, you know, summery, wintry, it's a 1-story historical building that's probably a little bit on the older side, cottage, it's a cottage. You go in with your shoes off, right? Sand all over your feet, cottage.
I refer to it as a house, not a cottage.
All right, so then I guess, so, answer to the question, 1 second. So the 4 houses on Childs, are they all 1-story?
Yes.
Okay. I guess we'll leave it at that.
But Childs Road the neighborhood of Childs Road is more than just those 4 houses.
I couldn't agree more. A neighborhood is more than just one road in many instances.
And then I just want to throw out a hypothetical. One of the neighbors, Ann, said they're not opposed to something being built there, right? Because she knew something would be built there. And I guess, so if we took out the garage and put in a 2-story house, is that okay? Or do we have to stay with a 1-story house?
I think the suggestion of the 8-foot garage door goes a long way. I think that
Great.
works.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
You can pass my science.
That's one good one. That's good.
Anyone else in the audience have anything to say?
I don't need that, Trish. You don't need it?
Again, I'm Mary Casanelli, and my husband and I own the cottage at 11 Childs Road. Julie can refer to it as a house. It's a cottage. There are cottages on that road. And she said I misspoke at the last meeting that I don't live in the cottage. I live on Monomoskoye Road and purchased that cottage to downsize when we retire. Really not anyone's business that I don't live there, but that's what that's about. So I never said I lived there, Julie, so.
Thank you very much for the clarification. Anyone else in the audience? Seeing none. Okay. Back to board questions. Board questions.
I think Chris wants.
Chris, you want to say something?
No, I'll wait for the board to ask any additional questions, and then,
Board questions, comments?
Where is the septic now, the current septic?
Tom Bunker's here, he can tell you whether, it's, link's on the plan,
It's on the plan?
but, maybe it's not on the plan.
I don't think it has a septic. I think it has a cesspool.
Is that a cesspool right now?
Yeah, I think that went in the last meeting we,
Yeah, I think it's some
it's a cesspool.
cesspool somewhere in the front. The new system's going, in the front. And I'm guessing, I didn't bring this up, are this for roof runoff? Infiltration? So I think based on our conversation, probably on 54 Kim Path, Tom has, oversized your stormwater runoff with the
I see it.
bleaching fist as opposed to your typical dry wells.
I didn't raise it as an issue, did I?
Right, no, you did not. But again, I think that would also go towards your substantially more detrimental
I-
analysis.
It looks to me like he's containing most of the water that's on that site.
Yes.
I get it.
So
That's
quick
why I
question.
didn't raise it.
What's the difference between a cesspool and a septic tank?
Oh,
Big difference.
especially cesspool to an AI system.
Right.
The upgrade is going to be substantial to the environment.
Cesspool is basically a pit
Yeah.
that you put, the effluent just goes into a pit. It's untreated.
Environmentally, this is a major improvement.
Okay,
Major.
thank you.
No question about it. A cesspool to an AI system, night and day. Nitrogen is in Never Never, and I think an AI system, nitrogen-wise, is 18, 20, 30 parts per million. A cesspool is like off the charts.
Right.
So I mean, that's a fact of life. That's the way it is.
How tall are the cottages around this property?
Well, the ones that the abutter was speaking to, it's 1 story. I don't know how tall it is, but it's 1 story. The one that my client owns is 1 story. The one that Ms. Silver is 1 story. So those are I don't know what the 4th one is. Those are the 3 that I can recall. Again, on 58 Monomoskoye West, which is right there, even though it's not quite quote unquote on Childs Road, is a two and a half story. Miss Wood, who lives across. She lives across the street, across Childs Road, even though her address is Monomoskoye Road, it's a 2-story house.
See, that's my concern, Mike, is the massing of that door at 10 feet, okay? The cottage that they're removing, if they were to get this approval, it looks like to me, plus or minus, the roof is at like 10 feet, okay? You're looking at the roof at 10 feet of the existing cottage, roughly, plus or minus, and now the garage door of the new residence, if it were to be built, is at 10 feet. And it goes up from there. So I get the fact, lot coverage and all the rest, but I'm just saying from a massing standpoint, it's a big building in reference to a small lot. That's why. It wouldn't be considered a big building on a 2-acre lot. It'd be small. But on a 4,000 square foot lot, it's large.
Well, I mean, I would say that from an actual square footage the footprint is 770 square feet.
Understood. I have a question.
Yes.
The door that you offered to come down to what, 8 feet?
Yeah, the garage door that we're,
Does that mean the ridge comes down 2 feet? Did I hear yes?
Steve, why don't you come up and address that?
3 feet?
So as that door comes down 2, the ridge comes down 2?
Yes. Yeah, yeah. The only reason there's 11-foot high wall height is because of a 10-foot door. So if you
Right.
drop it down 8 feet, everything comes down 2 more feet.
Makes me substantially happier.
Yeah, so you go from 24 feet 3 inches down to 22 feet 3 inches, which isn't a tall building.
No.
I'd say that
And
is-
I think the massing changes substantially.
Yeah, based on my experience and being in that neighborhood, that, yeah, the existing cottage is probably 10, 11 feet high. The other cottages are probably in between 12 and 18 feet high, not knowing the exact ridge heights unless you go out there and, run some heights. But, at 22 feet, this is
So let's think this
small
through then.
building.
So the door goes to 8, the ridge comes down 2 feet, the massing comes down substantially. So the abutters have raised an issue of massing, it would seem. We've moved the door, the entrance to the other side,
The stairs, yes?
which we did, which was from last meeting.
Correct.
David, what is your thoughts now with what you just heard?
Like I just said, that offer goes a long way to ease my mind. I wish, I don't want to dwell on that door. I don't think there's a need for it. I think a window would serve its purpose. But, but again, I said what I said. I think it goes a long way.
Can I, what I'd like to do is, Mary, could you come up here again, please? I need to talk to you for a second. I'm just trying to get some clarity. So right now, this garage door is 8 feet instead of 10 feet, which means the top of the whole house comes down 2 feet, which means the whole massing comes down. This house becomes substantially smaller, this building. The building inspector wants to put some type of restriction, and what would that restriction be in reference to the use of the garage, who can use it and who can't?
I'm not putting a restriction, I just wanted a condition that is used as the law is.
Complies with the bylaw.
Yeah.
Complies with
That's,
bylaw.
I'm not restricting anything.
Which would mean that the person who's renting it can only be the person who can use the garage for storage, correct?
Right.
Who monitors that? Like, how is the?
I
how is
can't,
that? Yeah,
believe me, there's a
yeah.
lot of things in all towns, not just this one, that are not monitored.
Yeah.
No.
So all I'm trying to say to you is, as one member of this board, I'm coming around at this point because I think the applicant has come a long way.
Right.
And I just want you to understand, I don't know what else I, as a member of this board, can do to make it not more detrimental, because at this point, I'm at the point where I think it's not more detrimental.
So, just doesn't look like a cottage anymore, but it's,
For me, I write that off as,
yeah.
it's called improvement in life, and you know what? I don't control everybody's property.
Right, right.
So I'm just, if there's something else, if something else you want to say other than that,
No, I just,
okay.
I don't think it's a residence. I don't think it's a residence.
Could I propose what we're going to have to, looking at the motion that has been set out, my understanding is that there are 2 different sets of conditions that will be added to that. One deals with the height of the garage door and the correlative height of the ridge of the home, one condition. The other is the condition that Dave is concerned about, deals with the use of the garage area being limited to whoever happens to be the resident of the home. Those are the only 2 conditions, kind of one from either side that,
Or the renter of the apartment.
Yeah, whoever resides in the dwelling, in the residence above the garage, has the right to utilize it for storage.
okay.
But the way that-
And the three.
And the other 2 things that you had
3
mentioned.
items
That's
that
it.
for flush
And I'm saying, as a board, I cannot find in my own mind, with all the other improvements, I believe it is now not more detrimental to the neighborhood. When you look at AI system, when you look at flood control, I mean, the fact that it's, flood compliant, new building compliant with a new code.
So do you think there's gonna be a boat in that garage?
You know what I gotta tell you, I don't
Whatever, does it matter to us?
I don't know if we,
Well,
probably.
Does it matter
the
to us?
But
factor
you're
of
right.
turning the boat around, the factor.
Does it matter to us?
They can put a boat,
what
I don't,
they
they
store
can
in
put
there?
any
Well,
kind of vehicle.
let's hope that,
Person living upstairs?
well, let's hope that it's a person that lives
That's the
upstairs
rule.
boat, that's all I can say. I don't know
I
if
liked
we,
your offer earlier, which she said she turned it into two different residences.
Mike, my only concern is I'm not so sure we can live by what if. Because if we live by what if, we'll never approve anything.
And talking about a boat,
What if?
talking about a boat in the,
Correct what ifs?
talking about a boat in the garage versus a car is not a zoning issue. Not at all.
Well, no, yeah. So
No, but putting a boat in the garage means it's a significantly larger structure.
For me, I think we've come,
Cottages.
for me, I think we've come a long way in the application. We've moved a staircase, we brought a door, we brought the building down, we got an AI system, we've got flood compli, I think we've brought the application a long ways.
All the way.
I don't know. Feel free to speak, though.
No, but I'll bet you dollar to donuts, there'll be a boat in that garage before long.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I understand that. I get it.
It's not really a residence.
Yeah.
We're not calling it a residence. It is an apartment on a garage.
Well, but they have a, subject to this board's approval, they have a right to, it is a right to do that. They have a right to do that, subject to this board's finding, or this board's decision. And we've made those decisions in the past. But I think we've
So
come a
your
long
main
way.
issue is the garage?
Well, like Ann said, it would be nice if they put a little house there and all the things that go along with that. And Julie said like, oh, I can't have 2 stories. Well, it's not 2 stories on that street.
Yeah, I think they could.
I don't know, it's a garage to me with an apartment above. It's not a residence, it's just.
Well, I'm sorry, ma'am, I forget your name.
It's Ann.
Ann, I'm sorry. And your address again?
231 Monomoskoye. I hadn't heard that it was lowered. I don't know if those were.
The
new
applicant just said that they would take the garage door down from 10 feet
Yeah.
to 8 feet.
Yeah.
That's 2-foot differential. Take the top of the house
Right.
down tight 2 feet. So they're lowering the massing of the
Yeah.
whole building by 2 feet.
Yeah.
How
And
tall would the building be? Excuse me, I'm sorry.
How tall would the building be, Steve? How tall would the building be now that it's lowered 2 feet? 22.
So I have a better feeling about that. Like I said, I knew.
As I do.
I knew something was going to be done there. We've always known that. And so long as it isn't like the thing on the other side of us, which is a monstrosity, with a cupola on top of it, so, that I'm not trying to be against I'm not trying to have the owners not be able to build something there. So lowering it down seems like a good compromise.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. All right.
Thank you.
Any other board, thank you very much. Any other board comments?
Let me simply propose the 2 conditions in addition to what's on the motion before me, to make sure that it's in accordance with what everybody understands, okay?
Makes sense to me.
One of the
Charlie.
areas of condition from the information from Dave.
All right, so one second.
Steve might have a quick
Yeah, I
comment.
just have one quick comment that Tom Bunker mentioned to me, too. With the lower the height, the run of stairs are going to get smaller, so that's going to drop your lot coverage down also.
So that helps with massing too.
My attitude across the board, it's a big plus.
Ron, can I accept the changes in the plans administratively? Or
I would
does it
say
have
yes to
be
that
bring
fact.
to the board?
I would say yes to that.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right. First of the conditions is that the garage is for the sole use of the resident of the apartment associated with the structure.
Occupants of the home and apartment.
No, the occupant of the
It's
apartment.
not
the
period.
Apartment. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that correct, David?
It's,
It should just, I
Be
mean,
in compliance with, why don't we just make it in compliance with
With
section?
the section 174, whatever that was.
Yeah, and that way,
174,
whatever it is, it
25
is.
correct.
25I1.
25I1,
Accessory, it's accessory to the, it's accessory to the
for
residence.
the use of the garage must be in compliance with 25I1.
174-25I1.
All right. And the other two things that David mentioned are limited to the parking of vehicles. Vehicle does or does not include a boat?
It
Yeah, it
it
does.
does include a boat. It includes
Just to
any
make
type
it
of vehicle.
understood. When
You don't have to say anything
I don't
about a
have to
boat.
say anything, I just say
Just
vehicle.
limited to, yep, storage of vehicles,
Yeah.
limited storage, shed items,
So limited storage shed items can be
and
stored
access.
in the garage.
Access to the building.
Yeah, utilized for storage of goods of limited value,
Correct.
okay? All right.
Yep, very
What
good.
was the third one, David?
No, that was it.
Access to the building.
Access to the building. Through the garage, correct?
The access to the building is through the garage?
Access
One
to
of
the
them.
building, period. But they're not using it at that. It is
So we don't need to say anything about that?
Need to, no.
No, let's,
Probably
no, okay. And the
Well,
second,
yes, I think we do, because you can't put other uses in there. It's only access to the building. So you can't put another floor in there, or mezzanine or something like that.
The flood zone, the FEMA requirements are what Dave's saying. You can only, like, you know, when you have pilings, you can only have so many, you can only do so many things with, under the pilings. I think that's, Dave's suggesting the same thing.
But he's trying to work
So
on
you
a
can say,
motion.
so Charlie,
He wants
just,
to make
it's,
yeah, I just want to make it as simple as possible and that everybody understands what we've
Yep.
done.
the only use is the storage of vehicles, limited storage, and access to the building.
Those are the three things.
Got it. All right, and the second separate condition is that it is agreed that the height of the garage door will be reduced to 8 feet with a commensurate reduction in the height of the
2-foot
ridge.
reduction in the ridge of the
ridge.
overall height of the building. Said plans will be submitted to the building inspector.
All right,
For administrative approval.
For administrative
It
approval.
doesn't have to come back to the
Yeah, I
board.
would just put in does not have, because obviously you're gonna have that condition that.
Doesn't have to come back to the board. It's just the overall height of the building will be reduced by the same 2 feet.
yep, okay. Want me to try to put it together?
Well, 1 second. I just want to make sure, we have to close the public hearing, et cetera, et cetera. So is the board all set? Audience is all set? Okay, so I'd like to close it. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing, please?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Have a motion on the application, please.
All right, motion relative to 15 Childs Road. Owner, Martin J. Riley, requests a special permit under 174-17.1 and 174-33 of the zoning bylaws to raise a pre-existing, non-conforming, single-family residential structure and replace it with a new single-family residential structure with an attached garage on property located in an R3 zoning district, map 114, parcel 93, Mashpee, Mass, with the following conditions. Motion. Number one, the board has determined that the applicant meets all the conditions of a special permit under Mass General Laws 40A, Section 9. Number two, plot plan. Proposed house reconstruction at 15 Childs Road, Mashpee, Mass, prepared for Martin Riley and Julie Sylvia, scale 1 inch equals 20 feet. Date August 12, 2024, prepared by BSS Design, stamped and signed by Thomas Bunker, registered land surveyor, number 32653, and Peter T. McEntee, civil engineer, number 35109. Revisions: mirrored house on lot, reduced building height, revised drainage, November 19th, 2024. 3, building plans. Prepared for Riley Residence, 15 Childs Road, Mashpee, Mass. Scale 1/4 inch equals 1 foot. Date 11/27/2024. Drawing number G1, first floor and second floor plan. G2, front and right elevation. G3, rear elevation, left elevation, and garage section, prepared by Katuitt Bay Design LLC. Number 4, condition on all town department comments read into the record, including but not limited to the Board of Health and Conservation Department comments. Number 5, any changes to the plans will require the applicant to return to this board, except changes relative to the height of the garage and the ridge line, which will be submitted to the building commissioner for his administrative approval.
Mr. Chair, the only thing I would just suggest, based on what Steve had said about the stairs, there would obviously be a change to the site plan as well.
Yeah, and I would say the overall building is gonna be reduced in height by the same 2 feet, and other
Ancillary reductions or changes.
there will be reductions made in other aspects of the building in order to meet said, reduction in height.
Let me leave it this way, that the, one of the conditions is that the height of the garage door and the ridge line will be reduced by 2 feet, and all changes necessitated by this reduction in height will be administratively approved by the building department, building commissioner, upon presentation of the plans, and it need not return to the zoning board of appeals.
Sounds good to me, Charlie.
Okay. Number 6, condition that the applicant seek and obtain the building department review in reference to the tree bylaw, chapter 175 of the town bylaws, prior to the application of a building permit. Condition number 7, that the garage will be limited to the use of the resident occupant of the apartment upstairs.
No.
And that it can,
I think it's correct, not that the language is correct. Is that not correct?
I think what we were trying to do is just say in compliance with section,
With that section.
with the
Section
bylaw section.
174,
25 I1.
Right.
give me the section, Dave, if you will.
7425,
Yes, that is correct.
I1.
That's all you're,
Okay.
that's what the condition.
All right.
Yes, you are correct.
Condition on the use being limited and governed by 174-45 I1.
25. 25.
25 one, I'm sorry.
174, 25. I-1.
And we don't need to go into the specifics of that section then.
We do not.
All right, leave it at that. Make it as simple as we can.
That's what I.
All right, and the last, the board finds under 174-17.1 and 174-33 that the proposed project as submitted is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing conditions prior to removal of the existing structure, and that there is adequate land area on the subject lot to provide sufficient parking, and there are no new nonconformities being created. And that, I think, covers all that we had
I
discussed.
have a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Great. Thank you,
Here you go.
everybody. Thank you.
She wanted her artwork back, I'm gonna give her an A-.
It's all up here. You might wanna. It's right here. There you go.
Making sure you sign the right place. Otherwise, you get the wrath at Mary Ann. I know. It's trash, right?
Trash.
Okay,
Apartment rental with a boathouse.
yeah.
There you go.
There's one that's.
We have so many things that go on in this community and all communities that we do not police. It's unbelievable. But you just can't
Can't enforce
police
everything.
it.
Funded them.
Yeah.
Mike, apparently it starts with 1.
Yeah.
I don't know how many operating manuals we've approved for drainage systems. I have a list of some of them since I started on this board in 10 years, and not one of them has been inspected, and not one of them has been, not one of those manuals has been overseen. Not one. It's just, there's just no way, it's impossible to keep up with it. You'd have to hire another 20 people just doing these.
Okay. Smoke's second.
Okay, let's get a move on.
I think John and Scott went home.
John, what have you been doing?
I took a nap.
All right, so John's back. That means that there will be 3 regular members, and we have to figure out, so, last meeting, so we were, I guess this time, yeah, I'm gonna have to, I should.
You're gonna see a lot of me tonight, Mike. So you're gonna see a lot of me
I
tonight.
guess it will be Mike and the 3 members, and I guess, how about Bob? There you go. So there's our next meeting, so our next sitting. All right, that being said, Charlie, would you read 26 Pembroke Drive into the record, please?
Okay, 26 Pembroke Drive. Owner Heidi Delaclis, trustee of the Heidi M. Delaclis 2017 Trust, requests a special permit under 174-17.1 and 174-33 of the zoning bylaws to raise a pre-existing non-conforming single-family residential structure and replace it with a new single-family residential structure on property located in an R3 and Papaneset overlay districts, map 123, parcel 79, Mashpee, Mass., continued from the October 9th, 2024 hearings at the request of the attorney.
Counselor?
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Again, for the record, Attorney Christopher Corain, representing the applicant. Per the public hearing notice, this project is located at 26 Pembroke Drive. It is a raise and replace under 174-17.1 and 174-33. This lot is located in the Pompanesett Overlay District, so your minimum dimensional requirements are 6,000 square foot lot area, frontage 60 feet, front yard setback of 25 feet, side and rear yard setbacks of 15 feet, lot coverage max is 25%, building height is 30 feet, setback to wetland is 50 feet. As with a lot of the lots we see, this lot is wholly located within the flood zone. So given that, we have the following nonconformities. Our lot area is nonconforming. There is only 407 square feet of non-flood zone lot area. So we are under the 6,000 square feet allowed, although the lot itself does have total area of 9,000 square feet. But for zoning purposes, because of the flood zone, 407 square feet. Given that, the setback to the wetlands is 0, the lot coverage is 100%, and then we do have 2 setback nonconformities. One is the westerly side yard, which is 4.7, and the easterly side yard, which is 10.7. So the westerly side yard is being eliminated. We are going to go to 15 feet on the westerly side, so that will become a conforming condition. We are slightly improving the easterly side yard, going from 10.7 to 10.9. The existing coverage as a percentage of the total lot area is 16.8%. That will be increased to 22.8%, still under the 25% tolerance. It equates to about a 540 square foot increase in the overall footprint of the structure. As with all these new structures in flood zones, it will be building code compliant, it will be flood zone compliant. This project has been approved by the Conservation Commission. An IA septic system is being proposed, stormwater management for roof runoff, and we are not creating any new nonconformities. We're not intensifying any of the existing nonconformities. In fact, we are eliminating one of them. The height will be 28 feet 6 inches, which is within your 30-foot height max. And, you know, I would suggest this is consistent with the neighborhood. As part of my application, I always submit pictures of the surrounding homes. So again, when we look at the board's charge in this, under 174-17.1, there's no new nonconformities being created. There is none. Is there sufficient parking for a residence? You need 2 parking spaces. There is. And is it substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood? So again, when we look at substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood, we don't have an IA system, we're going to an IA system. We don't have flood compliance, we're going to flood compliant house. We don't have building code compliance, we're going to a building code compliant house. We are improving one setback, we are eliminating another setback, and we're improving stormwater management. And, you know, again, it's been approved by the conservation. So again, there's mitigation as proposed in that sense. So with all of that, I would suggest to this board that this new structure, proposed structure, will not have an effect of, or creating a condition which is substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. So With that, I'm happy to answer any questions of the board.
Charlie, you want to read letters, please?
Yep, we have letters from two abutters, one dated 9/29/24 from Kelleher family, and that's to members of the zoning board. I am writing to express my support for the proposed special permit request regarding the residential construction project of 26 Pembroke Drive. As an abutter residing at 47 Uncatina Road, I believe this project will be a benefit to the neighborhood and Papaneset region of Mashpee. The proposed design will enhance the overall appearance and value of our neighborhood while in keeping with the coastal character. The planned improvements are well thought out and aligned with the aesthetic and charm of our area while appropriately in proportion with surrounding homes. The special permit request for up to 25% lot coverage is in keeping with other similar properties, and the height of the structure is well below the maximum allowable. I believe Ms. Delaclas' request for a special permit should be granted based on these points. Thank you. Mary Ann Kelleher, second letter, dated 10/3/24 to the Zoning Board of Appeals. I am writing to express my support for the proposed special permit request regarding the residential construction project at 26 Pembroke Drive. As an abutter residing at 25 Noshan Road, I believe this project will be a benefit to the neighborhood and Papaneset region of Mashpee. The proposed design will enhance the overall appearance and value of our neighborhood while in keeping with the coastal character. The planned improvements are well thought out and aligned with the aesthetic and charm of our area, in keeping with other similar properties, and the height of the structure is well below the maximum allowable. I believe Ms. Delaclas' request for a special permit should be granted based on these points. Signature, Philip George. Board of Health, relative to 26 Pembroke Drive, received 12/6/24. Septic designed for 3-bedroom with IA technology. House is designed with 1 bedroom on the first floor and 2 on the second. Conservation comments, 26 Pembroke Drive. Resource area LSCSF, buffer zone to coastal bank and buffer zone to BVW. Notice of intent application was approved unanimously due to flood zone value enhancement, conversion of lawn area to native wildlife area. Mitigation plantings in IA septic will enhance resource areas and buffer zones on the property lot. 3 monitoring and maintenance contract with a certified professional for all mitigation plantings to be submitted. And that's it.
Is that the extent, Marion? Okay, board questions.
Nothing right now.
Nobody has any questions?
Do you?
I thought I had a question, but I don't think I do. It looks like, Counselor, I don't think it's gonna really matter. So the front right corner of the existing home, you see that on the plan?
Yep.
It's almost like that may be the closest side yard setback.
Kind of looks it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Not that it really matters, though, when you think it through, because if you look at the 10-9, it's pretty close to lining up with it, but I'm not sure if it is. You see what I'm saying? Your side yard may be, in fact, your closest point may be that spot, front right corner.
Right, no, I understand. Yeah, I mean, I rely on, the only thing I would say is perhaps if you look at the lot line, it looks like it may push out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
so-
I think in the scheme of things, if it ends up being 10.7 instead of 10.9.
Right. It's still a nonconformity. We're still moving it further away.
That's why when I looked at it, I said, you know what, in the scheme of things, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah. As I said, I rely on the engineer to
Yeah,
give me
it's-
those setbacks, so.
I think it's a waste of time to chase it.
Actually, I have one question. We get dry wells going in?
Yes. Yes. Front, on the front street, it's 6 foot diameter.
Is that the big round
Yes.
circle there?
That's one of the better ones I've seen, actually.
Okay.
That's why I didn't bring it up.
2 for 2 on stormwater management tonight.
Yeah, no, you got an A+. All right, so David,
I'm confused with the building height. I'm not sure.
Brian Foley from Clancy Construction is with me tonight, so he can,
And you're saying that the building, is that rough, mean, natural grade?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right, so that's 3, so you're saying the building's 22 feet?
The ridge is 25.3 above sea level. Rough mean natural grade is roughly that. So it's a 28'6" from mean natural is the height. Does that make sense?
No.
Sorry, it's not sea level. This is the dimension from mean natural grade to the ridge, is that dimension.
So that's 28, but so that doesn't make sense.
What that is the first floor is at 0, so that's the distance from the first floor, which is 0. That's what I meant to say. But
Okay,
that makes
I get that, I get it. All right, now I get it, all right. So we're about a foot and a half.
Yes,
Okay.
1.5 below
Okay,
max.
sounds good.
all set, David?
Yep.
Audience participation. Anyone in the audience have anything to say? Audience? Okay. We're gonna go back to board questions again. Anybody?
Motion to close?
Okay, motion to close the public hearing, please.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Those in favor? Aye. All right, motion reference the application, please.
Got it. 26 Pembroke Drive, owner Heidi Delaclis, trustee of the Heidi Eb Delaclis 2017 Trust, requests a special permit under 174-17.1 and 174-33 of the zoning bylaws to raise a pre-existing non-conforming single-family residential structure and replace it with a new single-family residential structure on property located in an R3 and Papaneset overlay district, map 123, parcel 79, Mashpee, Mass, with the following conditions. Motion. Number 1, the board has determined that the applicant meets all the conditions of a special permit under Mass General Laws 40A, Section 9. Number 2, plot plan, 26 Pembroke Drive, Mashpee, Mass, sheet 1 of 2, project 23-292, prepared by Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors, client Clancy Construction, Inc., date September 4, 2024, revisions 9/5, 24, update zoning requirements 10/18/24, revised dwelling footprint, update landscape and planning areas 12/5/24, add landing and step, remove step to patio, update zoning table, stamped and signed by Deanna Bumitri, registered land surveyor, number 49075, and Timothy Santos, civil professional engineer, number 45078. Building plans prepared for Delaclis Residence, 26 Pembroke Drive, Mashpee, Mass, prepared by Clancy Construction, Falmouth, Mass, A 0.0 cover sheet, A 0.1 exterior perspective, A 0.2 axon views, A 1.1 first floor plan, A 1.2 second floor plan, A 2.0 exterior elevations, A 2.1 exterior elevations, A 3.0 square footage. Conditioned on all town department comments read into the record, including but not limited to the Board of Health and Conservation Department comments. Number 5, any changes to the plans will require the applicant to return to this board. Number 6, conditioned that the applicant seek and obtain the building department review in reference to tree bylaw, chapter 175 of the town bylaws prior to the application of a building permit. Number 7, the board finds under 174-17.1 and 174-33 that the proposed project as submitted is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing conditions prior to removal of the existing structure, and that there is adequate land area on the subject lot to provide sufficient parking, and there are no new nonconformities being created.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
all right, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Okay, let's get Scott.
Build, build, build.
Scott can come back in again. Yes, he can.
Scotty.
Chairman, it's Marius, by the way. His name is Marius. He's not here tonight. Keep calling him Morris or something.
Close enough. If it doesn't work, he needs to change his name.
You have it.
Mary Ann, why don't you grab Scott?
Go, Charlie. I signed a power of attorney.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
Bob on this one.
I have no idea. He went to the men's room.
You know who's gonna go? Who's our lawyer? Brian Wall.
Yeah, who was on this?
Oh, yeah.
Appeared in front of us.
Bob and Mike?
Mike, yeah, Bob.
Got it. Scott, welcome back.
There you go.
We almost made it the last hearing.
The first application is a pain in the butt.
Maybe he was watching a movie out there.
He might have been.
Crap in front of me.
All right, so who's sitting on the next meeting?
We gotta wait for Kaj. He's gonna sign that.
So let's think this through. So the last,
Was 3, Mike,
and Cash, right?
Cash.
So we'll go 3, no, it'll be 4. Plus George, I guess. How's that?
The first one being
The
out.
row.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
We got the row.
Yeah, 5 of us, right here.
A lot of paperwork tonight, Mary Ann.
The paper shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Kaj, where are you, buddy?
Keep cutting down further.
So why were you late?
You know what, I get mixed up with my meeting times.
Oh, I see.
Why does he have to explain to you?
Why? Because the first time I see him out in New Seabird, I said, "You going tonight?" You know what he says? "I'm not going." "What do you mean, going tonight?" He had to play with me huge. Didn't you? That's why.
All right.
Now I'm even.
Hey, I gave an honest answer.
Yeah, well, hey.
All right, well,
Yeah, I mean, let's just move forward. So, sitting is gonna be
That's fine.
5 members right here. All right. Charlie, would you read 416 Monomoskoye Road? Is that?
No.
Is that in there?
No,
No,
we
24
have,
Secaucet Road,
Secaucet Point.
Point Road, please.
It's a concert point, and that's to be continued, so.
Yeah. but you're gonna- Yep.
All right, let me, 24 Secaucet Point Road, owners Joshua and Nicole Delman request a variance under 17431, land space requirements, and 17433, setback to wetlands of the zoning bylaws, to vary the front, side, and rear setbacks, lot size, and frontage requirements to allow for construction of a single-family residence on property located in an R3 zoning district, map 124, parcel 35, Mashpee, Mass., continued from November 13th, 2024 hearings at the request of the attorney. And there is a letter from the office of Dunning, Corain, McNicholson, Garner, dated December 6, 2024, asking for a continuance.
So the architect is still working on the plans. After it went through conservation, there were, I think, I hate to use this word significant, but there were changes that have obviously necessitated the architect working a little bit harder to make those changes. So they're not quite ready yet. We're hoping they'll be ready at the January 8th hearing.
We look forward to the application,
you do.
Counselor. We really do.
As do I.
Step down on 2, then a continuation. Glad I
Say
came.
it.
Step down on 2, then a continuation. Glad I came.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so would you like to read the letter, I guess?
Yeah, dear Chairman Bonvy, as you know, we represent the owner of the property referenced above. It is hereby requested that the hearing rescheduled for Wednesday, December 11, 2024, be further continued until Wednesday, January 8th, 2025, as the applicant is still waiting for revised plans to come from the architect. Thank you for your attention. Very truly yours, Christopher J. Corain, attorney at law.
And when was that extended till?
January 8th, I believe.
Is that okay? Okay, so I have a motion. Can I have a motion to accept the letter and the extension to January 8th?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, so, George, I guess we'll just continue the next app. We'll keep the 4 right here for the next one. How's that? So, Charlie, would you read 416 Monomoskoye?
Yep. Okay, again on the continued hearings, 416 Monomoskoye Road, owners Kirk John Franklin and Dawn Gordon Franklin, trustees of the Seaside Realty Trust, request a written finding under 174-17, 174-33 of the zoning bylaws to allow for construction of an attached garage and deck to a pre-existing non-conforming single-family structure on property located in an R3 zoning district, map 124, parcel 47, Mashpee, Mass., continued from the November 13th, 2024 hearings at the request of the attorney.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Again, for the record, Attorney Christopher Crane, representing the applicant. If the board members recall, we were here last time for the written finding on this garage and deck addition. The building commissioner raised the point that the site plan incorrectly measured the front yard setback to the stairs, and that asked us to go back and determine where the furthest point is from where it needs to be measured in accordance with the bylaw. So Mike Borselli, Falmouth Engineering, is the engineer on the project. He went back. He did send us a revised plan, which we have filed. And this front left corner, I guess, if you're looking this way, front right, if you're facing the house, is 39.5 feet, which is still less than the 40 feet and is still a non-conforming condition, so we do not need any variance relief.
And there's no new nonconformities being created?
No, that is correct.
And just to understand, can you go through just real quick, the nonconformities and how you dealt with them, please?
Yes, so, again, it's in the R3 zoning, 40,150 feet of frontage, 40 front yard, 15 side, 15 rear, 20% lot, 50 is wetland. So there were 3 dimensional nonconformities. One is the first is 0 setback to the wetland because we're in the flood zone. The second is the 100% lot coverage because we're in the flood zone. And then there was the front yard setback. We had measured that to the stairs at 34.3, and that's not the way it's supposed to be calculated. So we went back, Mike recalculated it, and 39.5. So it's still a non-conforming condition. And then the lot coverage the coverage as a percentage of the total lot area is going up 472 square feet from 7.7 to 9.8.
Understood. So, do you have any questions, David?
No.
Board have any questions?
Nope.
Pretty
No.
straightforward, I think.
Yeah.
Anybody in the audience have any questions? Having none. So really, we asked you to do one thing and you did it. That was to confirm the front yard setback to the steps, yes. All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearing, please?
We have two Board of Health and Conservation.
Oh, new?
They're here, yep.
I would've thought
They're
that was
dated,
the last one.
I'm sure they were read into the record the last time. There's
Well,
been nothing.
the only reason I say is dated 12/6.
Oh,
Then, see, I'm in area, and I would
Yeah.
have thought that they would have all been inclusive of the last one.
I
Would
think
you
what they
please?
do is when Mary Ann sends out the new agenda, they re-comment.
Yeah, it's the same,
Comment.
Yeah.
but for the record.
All right, well, we need to
416
do it.
Yeah, 416 Monomoskoye Road, Board of Health, house to remain 4-bedroom, 2 on the first floor, 2 on the second floor, third floor loft, not fit for habitation.
Is that a ditto comment?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Same one. And 416 Monomoskoye Road from the Conservation, resource areas LS, CSF, and buffer zone to salt marsh. NOI application was approved unanimously with a condition of a 3-year mitigation and monitoring contract with a certified professional, and all certificate of compliances achieved prior to construction commencement, installation of dry wells to control roof runoff, and a drain at the cobble apron, and the vast amount of mitigation plantings near the salt marsh will enhance the resource areas.
I presume the same ditto
I
comment.
believe so, yes.
Okay.
But we certainly, all comments read into the record, part of the condition.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
All right, anything else?
Nothing else.
All right, so motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor? All right, motion in reference to the application, please.
Let me see if I can find it.
Paper.
You want one? I got one for you, Charlie.
Oh, got it, all set. Sorry. Okay. Motion relative to 416 Monomoskoye Road. Owners Kirk John Franklin and Don Gordon Franklin, trustees of the Seaside Realty Trust, request a written finding under 174-17 and 174-33 of the zoning bylaws to allow for construction of an attached garage and deck to a pre-existing non-conforming single-family structure on property located in an R3 zoning district, map 124, parcel 47, Mashpee, Mass., with the following conditions. Number one, motion. The board has determined that the applicant meets all the conditions of a written finding under Mass General Law 40A, Section 6. Number two, site plan, proposed addition 416 Monomoskoye Road, prepared for Don Franklin, date 10/16/24, add dry wells, dry well detail, and proposed spot grades. 12/4/24, add front yard setback to existing house, prepared by Falmouth Engineering, plan date September 9th, 2024, plan scale 1 inch equals 20 feet. Number three, floor plans. Project Franklin Residence, 416 Monomoskoye Road, Mashpee, Mass., sheet A1, lower floor plans. A2, upper floor plan. A3, attic floor plan. A4, elevation. A5, elevations, prepared by Northside Design Associates, structural engineer, Taylor Design, LLC, date 9/24/24. Conditioned on all town department comments read into the record, including but not limited to the Conservation Department and Board of Health. Number five, any changes to the plans will require the applicant to return to this board. Number six, conditioned that the applicant seek and obtain the building department review in reference to the tree bylaw, chapter 175 of the town bylaws prior to the application of the building permit. And number seven, the board finds under 174-17 and 174-33 that the proposed project is not substantially more detrimental than the pre-existing non-conforming structure or use to either the town or the neighborhood.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Sue, you're stepping down, so let me see.
Scott stepping down.
No. he
I'm
is-
done stepping down for the night.
What,
I'm done stepping down for the night. If I was, I would have left.
Are you stepping down, man?
He is. He's in conflict, possibly.
Yeah.
He's a conflicted guy.
Yeah,
Who, me?
he is.
You gotta sign all this.
What?
Sign.
See you in a bit.
You're welcome.
Make it a short bit.
I would hate to have you stand out there too long.
The seats.
That's a nice take. I get my phone.
Bring your phone.
Watch a movie.
Take a nap.
It's not my fault.
All the paper gone?
Seat's still warm.
Okay.
All right.
So sitting on this one, right? So let's figure this one out.
3 + 2.
It'll be 3 plus 2, exactly. So why don't we go 3, Mike, you sat on one tonight already, did you? All right, so why don't we do 3, Charlie and Bob? How's that? So it'll be us 3, Charlie, Bob.
Okay.
So would you read the next new hearing into the record, please, Charlie?
Okay, we are on new hearings for December 11, 2024, 17 Monomoskoye Road West. Owners Biara D. and Elena C. St. John. Trustees of the Biara St. John Trust request a special permit under 174-17.1, 174-33 of the zoning bylaws to raise a pre-existing non-conforming single-family residential structure and replace it with a new single-family residential structure on property located in an R3 zoning district, map 114, parcel 20, Mashpee, Mass.
Okay.
Good evening. Mr. Chair, members of the board, again for the record, Attorney Christopher Crane, representing the St. John's, who are the owners of 17 Monomoskoye Road West. This is a raise and replace under 174-17.1 and 174-33. We are located in the R3 zoning district. This is another project on Monomoskoye Island. Under the R3 zoning district, your minimum dimensional requirements are 40,000 square feet for lot size, 150 feet of frontage, 40 feet for a front yard setback, 15 feet for a rear and side yard setback, lot coverage of 20%, building height 35 feet, setback to wetland 50 feet. Another lot that is located wholly within a flood zone, so we do have a lot area nonconformity of 0 square feet. The actual total area of the lot is 18,675 square feet, but again, for zoning purposes, 0 square feet because we are completely within the flood zone. But again, total area, 18,675 square feet. Given the flood zone, we're 0 square feet, and lot coverage is 100%. And then our only dimensional nonconformity is the front yard setback of 3.2 feet. So we are proposing a new single-family dwelling. Your coverage as a percentage of the total area will be going from 8.3% to 17.5%, which is still within your 20% tolerance. Another home that's going to be building code compliant and flood zone compliant. A project that has been approved by the Conservation Commission. Another project going from a standard Title V to an IA system. We're not creating any new nonconformities. As always, I provide photos of the surrounding neighborhood. I don't think that the new project is inconsistent with the projects that you see on Monomoskoye Island. Height is 32 feet 5 inches, which is well within the 35 feet maximum. So again, when the board looks at these projects under 174-17.1, are we creating any new nonconformities? No, we're not. Is there sufficient parking for residents, which is 2 cars? Yes, we do. And is the project substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than what exists? And in this case, again, I would suggest we're not, because again, we're going to an IA system where one doesn't exist. We're becoming flood zone compliant where the existing structure is not. We're becoming building code compliant where the existing structure is not. We're not creating any new nonconformities, and we're within the tolerances for coverage. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions of the board.
Charlie, letters, please.
Yeah, what we have is, we have Board of Health. We have some correspondence from from Joe Pelletier, the Fire Department. We have Building Commissioner, and we have a letter from the abutter dated 12/3. So let me get into those. The abutter letter is December 3rd, 2024, from Diane Deneen. I am writing this letter in support of the proposed raise and replace project at 17 Monomoskoye Road West. While I am not a direct abutter, I did want to write this letter in support. Viera and Elena were kind enough to share with me their plans for the property approximately a year ago. I have reviewed the plans and believe it is in keeping with the neighborhood and necessary to accommodate their family size for years to come. While I understand their project requires relief from certain setback requirements under the zoning, I think the project is a net benefit to the neighborhood and the environment, given the mitigation plantings and upgrades to septic system that should enhance the overall water quality. Size and scale of the proposed home is reasonable and in fact less dense than most of the homes that have been built down at the end of the island. I know that there have been discussions about use of the right-of-way for others, but I want to make it clear that we do not support expansion and opening of the right-of-way to the north that would connect back to the main Monomoskoye Road. This would promote additional drive-through traffic and result in the removal of a significant number of mature trees and natural vegetative land. In closing, I hope you approve this project. Diane Denis. And we have conservation comments relative to 17, dated 12/2/2024, relative to 17 Monomoskoye Road West. Resource areas LSCSF, buffer zone to salt marsh, area of ecological critical concern ACEC, and buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland BVW. Notice of intent application for raise and replace of dwelling with attached garage, IA septic, dry wells, mitigation plantings, and restoration plantings. Remand of NOI was approved unanimously due to a waiver of regulations, request for LSCSF performance standards. Concerns over vertical walls and LSCF was satisfied with waiver request and the amount of native plantings going in place, as well enhanced protection to native vegetation during construction. And Board of Health, relative to 17 Monomoskoye Road West. Board of Health, house is 5-bedroom, 1 on the first floor, 3 on the second floor, and 1 above the garage area. Septic is designed for 5-bedroom with nitrogen removal technology. Health Department does not enforce the under-road utilities. Nothing is to be built above the leaching field. And we have a letter from Michael Ciampi dated December 2, 2024, with a number of attachments totaling 20 pages. And I'm simply going to read the letter from Mr. Ciampi dated December 2, 2024, to the Mashpee Zoning Board of Appeals. I am an abutter of number 20 Monomoskoye West Road, which is not a part of the legal advertisement for the 17 teardown. This lot cannot be combined or is not contiguous ownership because it is on the other side of the road. This Monomoskoye West Road is 25 feet wide by 4 survey companies, and most of us have deeded rights for ingress and egress in our recorded deeds. I have proof that on 17's deed, it only has specifically 10 foot and number 20 has none recorded. That makes it 15 feet short of so-called owning the road. Applicant also does not have a title or deed for 4,400 square feet of road, doesn't pay taxes on the road, doesn't have a private septic easement to cross the road, and is not a public utility. Also can't take away our deeded rights to this road and can't block off the road to everyone else. Can't plant mitigation in it because they don't have the room anywhere else install cobblestone and use it as their driveway. They also don't have enough room for a reserve area for septic, and that's not in the 150-foot buffer wetland zone. So they need another variance from the Board of Health on not connected number 20. The storm last January had seawater covering the dock walkway and up to the existing foundation. So they don't meet setbacks, and they need 1 million variances and don't own the road and don't have enough area on the 18,000 square foot of land on 17 Monomoskoye West is on. Also, the Mashpee tree preservation law is in effect, and nobody is questioning that. They need to basically clear-cut an unbuildable vacant wooded lot. So far, this project has escaped justice. We would hope the Board of Appeals denies the project with prejudice because they don't own the road, don't meet any 40-foot setbacks. The garage is less than 3 feet back. Just because the shed was plopped there on concrete blocks years ago, has seawater too close to the back of the house, and is detrimental to the neighborhood of 1,100 to 1,900 square foot house, and will not have adequate parking if they don't use the road. A lot of people have encroached on these Monomoskoye roads, and if the town issues a permit to totally take over the road, then there is something seriously wrong with the town system. Enclosed are deeds, plans, and other information pertaining to this project. Sincerely, Mike Ciampi. So there are 20 pages of various materials that Mr. Ciampi has included with this, which include deeds and the like.
I would just make reference to the fact that there are 20 pages.
And they're part of our record.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. Do you have any problem with that, Counselor?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, and what we have is we have some correspondence you know, from the fire department. Let's see if I can get this all together here.
Yeah.
Got it. It started off with a correspondence from acting temporary chief Pelletier, who went out and inspected the area, and it was related to a small wall area that was contiguous to this area.
You might want to read the last letter.
And the last one is dated 12/9, and I think takes care of it.
Yes.
And it's from J. Pelletier to Chris Corain and to Marianne Romero and to a copy to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Good afternoon, Chris. I'm very sorry for the confusion. My response about the quote-unquote wall was referring to an abutter who has complained numerous times to the fire department. The abutter stated that people are parking and driving over his property constantly to get to 17 Monomoskoye Road West, and he asked about putting a small wall around the corner of his property to help avoid this. With that being said, Chris, I still have reservations with access to 17 Monomoskoye Road West for emergency vehicle access. Those old paper roads can be very narrow and not maintained well. And there's correspondence from Chris Corain to Chief Pelletier and to Marianne and to the board. Dear Chief Pelletier, I wanted to reach out as I am representing the owners of 17 Monomoskoye Road West before the zoning board this coming Wednesday. Marianne forwarded me a letter that you provided raising a concern on the wall that is a concern. There were going to be raised cobblestones along the perimeter, but they are now proposed to be grade level, flush with the ground. Excuse me. If the cobblestones are the concern and continue to be a concern, we can eliminate them from the project. If you are referencing some other obstruction on the property, please advise, and I can discuss the same with the client. The engineer, Mike Briselli, is also copied on this email and can address any questions.
Any other letters?
It's a letter from Attorney Corain in response to the letter from Mr. Ciampi. And I just have to dig it out, Chris.
Maybe we can help.
Yeah, do you have a copy of that, Bud?
Chris, do you have it?
I do, I think Marianne has a copy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Coming at you.
No, I left it at home. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, wait, it looks like about 40 pages.
Yeah. Okay.
Not that long.
What,
Not that
32?
not that many pages.
How many pages is it?
It's only
There are,
Oh, jeez.
3 pages and
Okay, well,
There's-
has to be
there's-
read into the record.
Wait a minute, maybe you could just summarize it.
I think we have to read it
Oh,
in the
you
record,
can-
though.
I think what I'll do, let me do the same thing I did relative to Mr. Ciampi's.
there's a case and a statute in there. You
Yeah,
don't need to read into the record.
What I'll do is I'll read the letter. The attachments I'll leave as part of an attachment package. December 6, 2024, to Mr. Bonvy. Chairman Bonvy, as the board is aware, my office represents Vera and Elena St. John, applicants and owners of 17 Monomoskoye Road West, who have filed for special permit pursuant to section 174-17-1 and 174-33 to raise and replace a pre-existing non-conforming single-family structure and replace it with a new single-family structure. I am in receipt of a letter dated December 2, 2024 from Michael Ciampi, the owner of an abutting parcel located at 9 Pine Ridge Road. Please allow this letter to respond to the matters raised in Mr. Ciampi's letter. The majority of Mr. Ciampi's concerns relate to matters that are within the jurisdiction of other departments or deal with private property rights outside the purview of the zoning board. However, in an effort to be comprehensive, this letter addresses the matters Mr. Ciampi has raised, whether or not within the purview of the zoning board of appeals. Mr. Ciampi's first point concerns 20 Monomoskoye Road West. 20 Monomoskoye Road West is a vacant lot directly on the opposite side of 17 Monomoskoye Road West and is also owned by my clients. The only work being proposed for this lot is the installation of the septic system. There is no work being performed which would fall under the jurisdiction of the Zoning Board of Appeals. There is no attempt to merge the lots. Mr. Ciampi next raises concerns about the ownership and use of Monomoskoye Road West. Monomoskoye Road West is a partially constructed paper road. As such, the ownership of the road is governed by Mass General Laws 183, Section 58, the so-called derelict fee statute. Pursuant to the derelict fee statute, an owner of property which abuts a private road owns to the center line for the length of the course that that road runs along the property line. Where there is common ownership on both sides of the road, such as here, the owners own the complete fee in the road along the course that the road runs along the property lines. The owner in the fee has all rights to repair, maintain, replace, improve the road, so long as such work does not impact the rights of others to pass and repass, and citing a case. Nothing proposed herein would interfere with anyone else's rights to pass and repass. In fact, the cleared portion of Monomoskoye Road West terminates at my client's property and is impassable by vehicle any further. See GIS and photos. The area acts as nothing more than a driveway for my clients. Moreover, the plantings that are of concern to Mr. Ciampi are on 20 Monomoskoye Road West and outside of the raise and replace application. Ultimately, Mr. Ciampi's concerns relate to private property rights, and the zoning board is not the proper forum for their resolution. Next, Mr. Ciampi cites Mass General Laws 187, number 5, as prohibiting my clients from installing pipes within the private road layout. Again, this concerns private property rights outside the jurisdiction of the Zoning Board of Appeals. More importantly, however, Mr. Ciampi cites an older version of the statute, and the current version of the statute did away with the reference to public utility, and case law is clear that the components for a private septic can be installed within a private road layout, and citing statute and some cases. The shed Mr. Ciampi referenced is approximately 200 square feet in size, is a structure, and predates my client's ownership. It has existed in that location for more than 20 years. It is located adjacent to an area where Monomoskoye Road West is thickly vegetated. Finally, Mr. Ciampi raises several other matters that are within the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission, Board of Health, or a building department. The Conservation Commission approved the project. Board of Health has indicated that no variances are required. See email from their health agent. The project is exempt from the tree bylaw due to the conservation review, and irrespective, this board also conditions projects on tree preservation bylaw compliance. As a project seeking a special permit pursuant to 174-17-1, the board is charged with evaluating whether a project is substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. What exists currently is a non-flood zone compliant and non-building compliant home with a traditional Title V septic. The proposed home will be flood zone compliant, building code compliant, and a new IA system is proposed. Lawn area is to be reduced and replaced with native vegetation. No new nonconformities are being created. The new home will be slightly further from the resource area, and the house has been designed to impact only already disturbed areas. Further, the house was oriented and designed to minimize the impacts of the views from Mr. Ciampi's property. Overall, the project is an improvement over what exists. And Attorney Corain has attached to that a number of documents which also will be part of the record before us.
Okay, any other letters?
No, we've already done the Board of Health and thank you. Building Commissioner comments. From Dave Morris to Mary Ann Romero with a copy to us. Hello, Mary Ann. In response to Attorney Corain's letter dated December 6th, I believe there are two zoning issues the board needs to consider for the above project. First, I am in agreement with Acting Chief Pelletier's concern about 17432 for fire department apparatus. Second, the lot where the proposed septic is to be placed has 40 feet of frontage and 3,879 square feet, which means this lot cannot be developed. Bylaw 174-25H7 states that such a lot requires a special permit from the board in order to build a private one or two-car garage, greenhouse, or a dock with no sanitary facilities. This could be argued to prevent the proposed septic being built. I am concerned about both these issues and urge the board to consider whether either or both are detrimental to the neighborhood.
Anything else? Mary Ann, is that the extent? Board questions?
Thanks, George. Is a septic system considered a structure?
That's a good question. That is the question,
Residential lot, isn't it?
It's in a residential zone, correct. I don't think it's a structure. Your bylaw, I don't think it meets the definition of a structure. And I think when I say septic system, and I'm not the engineer, I believe it's only the leaching field that's proposed in that area. The septic is actually, like the tank of the IA is on our lot. I think this is just the reserve area and the leaching field, if I'm reading it correctly.
That is the soil absorption system is there in the reserve area. You are correct.
Yeah.
The tank is on the lot on the other side.
Correct, on our lot.
Yeah, there's a tank in the tank, that's the system.
I
But
don't-
it's still,
It's underground. It's
yeah,
not-
no, I get it.
I don't see it as a structure. I mean, a structure under your bylaw talks about, you know.
Well, there's 3 squares there. I assume there's gonna be manhole covers.
Yeah, I would guess.
So there's some structure there, isn't there?
Well,
Yeah, but below-
not the way we define a
But a
structure under
structure
the zone.
falls under lot coverage, and that doesn't fall under lot coverage.
Right.
Well, my point is, if it's a residential lot, the primary use of a residential lot is what? A residence. If that's a structure, it's gotta be a residence.
I don't,
Well, again, I don't consider it.
That's why I asked, is it a structure?
Right,
no,
I see.
whole grade.
A combination of material assembled at a fixed location to give support or shelter, such as a building, tower framework, platform, bin, sign, or like. That doesn't fall under any of those categories.
I agree.
It's, again, I don't really have any opposition to that. I think it's up to the health agent of whether a septic can be built there or not, but this lot is not a buildable lot, so they can't put a dwelling on that. So the zoning that does apply to it,
Okay, so you can't put a dwelling, but
No.
you could put a structure?
you could put one of these by special permit by the board.
Could I just say, no, the Board of Health, in the Board of Health comments of 12.6, it says, house is 5-bedroom, 1 on the first floor, 3 on the second, 1 above the garage area. Septic is designed for 5 bedrooms with nitrogen removal technology. Health Department does not enforce the under-road utilities. Nothing is to be built above the leaching field. So the Board of Health calls it a leaching field.
Which means that none of these structures can be built.
Right, and nothing's
if
proposed.
it's put
I mean,
in.
we're not proposing any
So-
above-ground structure.
It's a double-edged sword.
Nothing
That's,
comes out below grade. The cover has to be within a foot of grade. It doesn't come out of the grade.
And I would also make the point is, from an environmental perspective, you want the leaching field as far away from the wetland as possible. So this is a good thing, for the wetland resource areas.
Yeah, but that's not the point of,
No, I know. I mean, my argument is not a structure. If you read the definition of structure under the bylaw, I don't think it meets it.
I see issues as twofold here. Number one is you get fire protection, so you gotta deal with that somehow. I don't know how far away the closest fire hydrant is. Remember, there's something in our zoning that says it's gotta be within so many feet.
I don't know where the fire hydrants are around there.
Yeah, so I think you got a fire protection issue here. Clearly with the fire department, the acting chief says, I got a problem with access.
Well,
That's an issue
he
you've got to deal
didn't
with.
really, I mean, I wish he explained what his
Well,
problem, you know.
listen, all I can say is, as a board, we sit here and we have the acting fire chief saying, I got a problem with access. I got a problem with the application then at that point.
Well-
Now, secondly, if you look at, I agree with your legal opinion of owning to the center line of the street. So if you own a lot on either side of the street, then I guess you own through the street.
Correct, you own
I
the-
get it. I mean, that's been around for a while.
That's a given.
That's a given. All right, so I get it. What concerns me, though, is, you know, what do you do when somebody's gonna, let's say somebody improves the street someday and they're putting utilities and all the rest, and all of a sudden, they have no idea that you've got a leach field on the other side of the street, and they're going right through your sewer pipe.
that's why
That
you do-
concerns me, but
That's why you have dig safe.
that's not, they wouldn't mark that. That's a private sewer. They don't mark private sewer.
I don't know what they.
So that being said, but that's outside of our purview.
Right.
I look at this leach field thing as being a Board of Health issue more than anything.
Right.
And the Board of Health approved it, so I'm less concerned about the leach field issue.
Right.
I'm okay with owning the center line, and I'm happy because you own both sides, so you own the center line. I'm real concerned about the fire.
What's changed about the fire access now?
Well, that's the point. We have a house there that may or may not have access, you know, so we're not doing anything to make it any worse of a situation.
All that I know is, I'm not a fireman, and I've got a acting fire chief that says, I got a problem. And if that being said,
Before this proposal, it's just a crappy little paper road, as they call it.
Yeah.
I don't think anything
But
he's
the-
doing is changing it.
I agree with you, and what the fire department is saying is, hey, if you're gonna build this house, you're gonna make these improvements, we want you to do something, whether it being improving Monomoskoye or something, so that we have access.
Maybe because it's going from a very small house to a really good sized
I think
house.
minimally,
No,
I would
it's-
recommend the following, we've gotta get the fire chief just interaction here.
The access, if you look, there's parcel 18 and parcel 19. The access goes through those parcels. Now, is that a legal right of way, or is it not? That's the question that needs to be answered.
That, I actually don't agree with that. The access is on Monomoskoye Road. It uses Monomoskoye. I think.
But it's all wooded. There's no way you can get there.
You go down Pine Ridge Road and you take a right and you're at the house. And that goes down with Monomoskoye, is the developed portion of Monomoskoye Road. I don't think that the GIS map accurately reflects where the boundary lines are. If you look at what Mike Borselli, who's the town engineer, the project engineer, he laid out the access as it sits on the ground with the existing and proposed, and it doesn't go over anybody else's lot, based on his engineering. The GIS looks like it does, but his engineer plan shows differently.
But minimally, we're on record of receiving a letter of correspondence from the fire chief of this town saying he's concerned about access.
Right, well, this project is actually improving the access, it's widening open the
He's
driveway.
concerned, I'm concerned.
You know, somehow that document has got to be stated, has got to be reversed to say, I'm all set.
Sure.
You know how we are in reference to these issues, especially health and safety. That's fire department.
Well,
It's a big.
I did attempt to get the clarification from him about the wall, and that turned out to be something completely different.
I am far less concerned about the leach field issue.
Yeah.
Because as far as I'm concerned, the Board of Health approved it. You own the center line on both sides. Far be it from you if you want to put a leach field, you know, I've put leach fields on other lots down the street, not on the other side of a street, but on other lots within a subdivision. But that being said, I am very concerned about fire.
But is that his responsibility? Isn't that, the town has to come through, he's not changing the access. He's not changing the access at all. I mean, if there's a problem there, then the town has to address it and find some way to access the.
Well, not really, because we are the board that's the end of the line. We're either gonna approve
Well,
or disapprove.
There is an obligation that this has to be cleared 16 feet, 150 feet from the furthest structure. We don't know if it doesn't look like that's 16 feet. If the road's 20 feet wide, it looks like it's less than 10 feet. This is
That's for
clear.
fire
This is clear. I can see that. It does clip the other lot. It does clip it, but I don't think it's up to snuff, and that's up to the responsibility of the owners to make that 16 feet wide. They gotta clear that. You can't be going over other people's property as well. I don't see the cobblestone road. I don't understand what's going on there.
There's a cobblestone, when the fire chief had first mentioned the wall issue, I thought he was talking, there's like a cobblestone edging around the driveway. I thought that's what he was talking about, it's just flood,
Yeah, no,
it's a non-issue.
he made a mistake.
So, I've got a question. On the existing house, it looks like it's 22.9 from the road,
Yes,
and the proposed house goes from 22.9 to 11 feet, is
I
that
think
correct?
11 is to that tank, I think. You see the arrow, the end of the arrow right there? I think it's just to the tank.
Okay, what is
I
it
think it's
to?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. See, it
doesn't-
kinda keeps going.
It doesn't give a dimension, I think.
well, because our closest point is the 3 feet.
Well, yeah, I'm kinda asking you what the house is. Proposed house.
This is Boselli's.
Maybe that's the rub with the fire department.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, as I said, he didn't give clear instructions of what exactly his problem was. I mean, if you go down Pine Ridge Road, I mean, it's a gravel road that seems to me has plenty of, doesn't have any problematic access. Maybe it just takes us having the fire chief go down there and explain what his potential concern is.
Agreed.
As one, I can't say, I vote in favor simply because that's gotta be dealt with.
Right.
I mean, it's gotta be dealt with.
Sure.
I mean, whether he does something or fire chief, whatever, I mean, that's gotta be dealt with.
Okay.
Again, I'm, at this point in time, not concerned about the leach field, and I'm not concerned about Sunline ownership of Monomoskoye. I am concerned about access to the house, but it sounds like you may have that straightened out, I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think that's an issue. I mean, again, this is the second time we've kind of run into this access issue with already existing houses. I mean, these houses were granted building permits at some time without having the fire department complain about the improvement to the road, and now we're kind of trying to turn back the clock on these things.
Yeah, but it's,
Well, you're putting a new house.
you're asking for something from this
changing
board,
things.
which is a special permit, right? You know my opinion of special permits in reference to raise and replace.
I know.
We vary in our discussion about that, but my attitude is we're the end of the road here, and you got a fire chief saying, I got an issue. Fix the issue.
All right, well, I think then, I don't want to belabor the meeting tonight, because obviously the board is going to want us to have a discussion with the fire department to see if we can resolve
Yeah, I
whatever.
think that's all we need. We want to know what his problem is. And I agree with Mike. If this has been the way it has been for as long as it's been, why now?
Right.
It
Because
doesn't,
things are changing, I guess.
well, you're not
They're putting a
changing,
brand-new house.
but you're not changing the road.
The access, John.
The access hasn't changed.
I don't know the
Yeah,
answer
but
to
in
it.
our zoning, there is fire protection, there's a certain width and a certain distance, et cetera. And he may not meet that.
From just even looking at that map, it does not meet
It
this.
doesn't meet the minimum of our zoning. So this house that's here could have been built before that zoning, okay, and it's
It's grandfathered.
you
But
could
now
say it's
it's
pre-existing non-conforming because of that.
And our
But
raise and
it's health
replace
and
would allow
safety,
that.
and you got a fire department sitting there saying, which kind of trumps it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it says it needs to have an all-weather surface that supports fire apparatus for a width of 12 feet and a cleared width of 16 feet. And that's obviously not wide enough, because that strip, it really is a right-of-way that is supposed to be maintained, and it was never maintained, and whether it's there forever is not the intention by the owners,
private road.
But there's going to be an
So-
all-weather surface.
so-
There is now, so I don't think that's the concern.
I don't think it's 12 feet wide.
And maybe
I would
not.
imagine you can manage through it, it's just you've got.
I think it can be improved. I do think it can be improved, and then we have to go we have to establish how far it has to be from the furthest point of the garage to 150 feet to that point. And then that'll conform to that bylaw.
In many ways, yes. So, does the board see anything else that they're concerned about?
I just think we need to hear from Chief Pelletier. That's all.
What I'm gonna do is go to the audience, et cetera, but I just wanna make sure that if.
Yeah, if there's anything else, I want to be able to address it for the next
Exactly.
time.
I'm fine with everything just to hear
I'm
from him.
okay, I mean, unless something comes up about this leach field issue, I don't see it. Board of Health's approved it. I don't have a problem with it, so that's where I'm at. Okay. So why don't we, if that's okay, why don't I go to the audience, because I'd like to hear from the audience in case there are any other issues. Anybody in the audience having to say about the application? Yes, sir.
3 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I'll see if I can cut them short. Yeah.
It's 8:30.
Hi, my name is Mike Champy, 9 Pine Ridge Road. I'm an abutter on 2 sides to this project. When I bought my property 32 years ago, I was abutting Monomoskoye West Road, and if approved, I'll be abutting a front yard. Is the assessing department going to grant the applicant free land, which myself and many others have deeded rights to? Second, I abut 20 Monomoskoye West, which assessors card states non-buildable wooded lot. If approved, it would be clear-cut 35 by 100 into a barren wasteland covered by mulch with a sewer vent almost in my backyard. This forced main, not gravity, leach field does not even meet Title V reserve area of 150 feet from a wetland buffer zone or the Mashpee tree preservation law. I measured from high tide to the road, and number 17 only has 72 feet of upland, which means it only leaves 17 feet of land for current zoning. Also, the footings will be in salt water. It also was denied by conservation on the first try of notice of intent. The house needs a dozen variances. When does the town draw the line? They need the road, which they don't own, because they don't have enough room on the lot for mitigation plantings, cross the road to a non-contiguous lot for a septic. They have no deed or title or easement for the road and can't block the road off to me, Frank Roberts' family, the town of Mashpee lot that abuts it, or anyone else who has deeded rights for ingress and egress. I have proved in my 20-page document that I submitted December 2nd that 20 Monomoskoye West has no deeded rights to this road. I have been fighting this ridiculous project since 2016. Let's face it, if you don't have enough land for a 5-bedroom, then you just don't have enough land. So let's finally lay this project to rest with a denial with prejudice vote, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. We'll take your input under consideration.
Okay.
All right, anyone else in the audience? Name and location and your involvement, please.
Beria St. John, resident owner of 17 Monomoskoye Road West. Couple of things to point out. We did reach out to emergency services, Mike Borselli. In fact, in the landscape plan, you'll see an ambulance drawn in. And whether or not talk to the fire chief, he's not here, unfortunately, to speak to that. But they did reach out to emergency services.
There was a transition in fire chiefs over the last week, so you got caught in the middle.
Fair enough. And certainly, I'm not sure it's a, intended consequence or unintended consequence of sort of pushing back on this project. But if we have to cut those trees to widen the road, I guess we want to understand what other jurisdictions come into play, Conservation Commission, if that's what the board's looking for and neighbors looking for, widening the road right of way.
I think at this point, what the board's looking for is we have been notified by the acting chief of this town.
Sure.
That he's concerned about access.
Okay.
And whatever it may be. So we have to have a document that says, I'm all set.
Understood.
And whatever you need to accomplish that task is between you and him.
Yeah, we'll do that.
And you may have to go back to conservation. You may have to do a lot of things in order to accomplish that. I don't know.
Sure, okay. I do want to point out, we did reach out to Mr. Ciampi about a year ago with our plans and for this property. Unfortunately, the first time we're hearing any feedback is this form, which is disappointing, trying to be good neighbors here. We reached out to all the neighbors with our ideas and plans, took input. We did keep the house as far north as possible to not obstruct his views. It could have been certainly a lot easier for us to pull a house closer to the southern boundary and give ourselves some privacy on the other side, but again, we took into consideration, the neighbors here and the impact it has. So I'd like to think, the improvement to the environment, the moving the septic from within 50 feet of the wetland resource to 150 feet. The engineers did factor in the reserve area. In fact, the original design was in the reserve area that's there now. So I think we met all those obligations. I just wanted to, bring a few of these points forward.
Thank you for your input. Anyone else in the audience? Mr. Chairman, if it's anything new, please, nothing, just.
No, I think we can resolve the fire department.
Say again?
I think we can resolve the fire
No,
department.
we can't resolve it, the fire department has to
No,
resolve
I
it.
asked the fire department.
No. Let me just say this. The owner has a right to go back to the fire department and work through, if possible, his issues with the fire department. You can't help with that.
Well,
You're
they're-
not the fire department.
Everyone's encroaching on my property as they turn the corner.
You have a civil right, if in fact someone ever encroaches on your property, you can go to court and defend that property. We don't give anybody land rights. We never have, we can't. All we're here to do is listen to an application and deny or approve it. And right now, we have a fire chief that's questioning access. We have said to the applicant, go deal with the fire chief. And whatever way he needs to do that, and she needs to do that, that's up to them. Whether they accomplish that or not, I don't know. They may not be able to. If they can't, we need to deal with that as a board. But as far as getting input from you as the fire chief, that would mean nothing to us as a board.
Okay.
All right? Thank you very much. Anyone else in the audience? Okay. So, Counselor, how would you like to handle this?
Two ways. Well, one is I just want to respond a little bit to this, we need a million variances. It's just not true. You've got the letter for the board. If you don't need me to get into it, I'm not going to get into it. I just want to.
I don't think at this point in time to get into
It's
it would
worth it.
make sense.
So
At
in
this
that
point in
ca-
time, the zoning enforcement officer has, I presume you met with him and he's told you what you need.
Yes, that is correct.
He's the zoning enforcement officer.
Right.
He's the boss.
Right. And the Board of Health has approved it, Conservation has approved it.
That's
So-
not our hunt.
Correct. So at this point, I think what I'm hearing from the board is that, we need to sit down with the fire chief or meet with him on site, get a sense of exactly what his concern about access is, come back to this board hopefully with a positive recommendation from him.
It's a paper from him retracting his concerns.
Sure. So in that sense.
Sent to us.
I would, I would ask for a continuance to January 8th.
January 8th, okay, Marion? Can I get a motion to approve the applicant's request to extend this hearing till the January 8th?
Yep.
If I have a second. Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a
Okay,
great night.
thank you very
everybody.
much. Okay, so sitting on the next. Figure that out.
Where's Bill?
Billy?
Come on, Bill. Come on down.
All right, so the next will be,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
we'll just go right here. Four regular, are you staying?
Who wants to take?
I guess that.
Oh, it's up to you, because I've got enough.
No,
I think that's fine.
That's all right.
Go for it.
You're all set?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so, what'd we just do? Who just was on that? You two?
I think I was.
Continuation.
Why don't we do this?
I think I was.
4 regular members and Mike, how's that, to sit on this one? How's that? Okay. 1 second.
All right.
1 second, guys. Hold it up.
That looks like the background. Let's see.
Have a good vacation.
Somebody?
Yeah, I'll see, I guess.
I don't think anybody cares.
Sign it too?
Right. You don't need that. Trash that.
Supposed to sign this? I guess, Merry Christmas, George.
Who's
Take
it?
care, pal.
Who sat on that one? I'm sorry, I forgot.
I did.
So you did sit on it?
5 signatures here. Sign it anyway.
Yeah.
Sign it anyway.
Make it unanimous.
I'll sign it too.
Just don't have Mike sign it. It'll mess it all up. All right, so sitting in this one, for clarity, 4 regular members and Mike.
One I did sign. I signed one already.
All right, 4 regular members and Mike, here we go. Charlie, would you read 68 Mercantile Way into the record, please?
I would be delighted. The last new matter on our list for today is 68 Mercantile Way. Petitioner, 68 Mercantile Way, petitioner Eric B. Clapper, 10 Sugar Pine Circle, Mashpee, Mass., is appealing the building commissioner's decision under Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 8 and 15, to issue a certificate of occupancy based on condition number 6 of the Zoning Board of Appeals decision, SP 2002-2229, on property located in the I-1 and Light Industrial Districts, map 88, parcel 91, Mashpee, Mass.
Does everyone know what condition 6 is?
No,
You want me to
just
read it?
send it around.
All right, why don't you send around condition 6, please? All right. All right. Condition number 6, so where is it?
Why don't we read it in?
So where is it, Mary Ann, specifically? All right, here, I've got it. All right, I'll read it to you.
Yeah.
Condition number 6. Number 6, condition that the applicant install white pine trees 8 foot apart, 8 foot tall, along the north border within the 10-foot zone,
I remember that.
period.
I-
So that's the basis of the appeal.
I remember that.
Ms. Clapper, would you like to present, please? Or Mr. and Mrs. Clapper, I apologize.
Good evening. My name is Eric Clapper. I live at 10 Sugar Pine Circle, Mashpee. I'm before you to appeal the building commissioner's decision to issue an occupancy permit to the abutting commercial property located at 68 Mercantile Way, on the grounds that the commissioner did not enforce the language of condition number 6 of the special permit issued on July 27, 2022. Even though we brought this noncompliance to his attention prior to him issuing the occupancy permit, the developer chose not to follow the specific language of the condition, and the building commissioner approved these changes. The building commissioner does not have the authority to approve changes to the special permit or any of its conditions. Condition number 6 reads, quote, conditioned that the applicant install white pine trees 8 feet apart, 8 feet tall, along the north border within the 10-foot zone. The trees currently planted are spaced greater than 8 feet apart, some trees spaced as great as 22 feet apart. Also, 60-plus feet of the north border was left unplanted, creating an unobstructed view of a 60-yard dumpster and parking lot. When we met at public hearing on July 27, 2022, we presented our concerns about the impact of this commercial development on its residential neighbors. After much discussion, it was agreed that a condition of the special permit providing a buffer planting zone needed to be created. This condition became a part of the special permit, is filed with the Registry of Deeds, and is legally binding. If there were to be any changes to the special permit or any of its condition, it is the responsibility of the developer to present these changes before the board through public hearing, and the changes must be agreed upon by the board as well as the abutters. This was never done, though there were several changes to the proposed plan, which are now negatively impacting our property. As a result, I'm forced to come to you at my expense to explain a discrepancy that is not my responsibility to do. When the trees were planted, we immediately reached out to the developer with our concerns, but got no response. We then contacted the building commissioner to advise him that the plantings were done incorrectly and incompletely. His action was to disregard the terms of the special permit and issue the occupancy permit, stating that he felt the job was done professionally. Mr. Commissioner, a job is never done professionally if it's done incorrectly. It's the responsibility of the zoning board and its representatives to always consider the impact of developments on their abutters, especially residential properties. At no time should a developer be given the impression that they are not obligated to do anything, especially after conditions of a special permit are agreed upon. Because the developer did not plant trees to the written specifications of the special permit condition, we are forced to endure continued noise, air, and light pollution from this development. This has created a negative impact on our property values and severely affects our quality of life. We now look at a 60-yard dumpster, which was not on the proposed plan, unshielded lighting, which shines onto our property all night long. Please note that no lighting plan was ever submitted as part of the special permit. That is cause for denial right there. But it was still approved. We have truck headlights, which project directly into our windows, backup alarms, and the noise of refuse being thrown into said dumpster, which can be heard as early as 6:30 a.m. outside of the zoning laws, and can happen any time throughout the day. These conditions should have been recognized by this board, and greater mitigation plans should have been determined during the 2022 hearing that would have immediately protected us from the negative impacts of this project. However, through due process, we compromised as homeowners, and all parties agreed on the language of condition number 6 of the special permit. After 2 years of patiently and anxiously watching our backyard deforested and the construction of a 9,700 square foot steel building and parking lot with all the noise and the dust that comes along with it, we were excited to finally have trees that would help to buffer against the day-to-day commercial operations that exist. Instead, because the trees are planted further apart than what was required by the special permit, it will take many additional years of growth, gentlemen and ma'am, to screen against these negative impacts. The part of the north border of their property that was left unplanted will never provide relief. No trees were ever planted, so there's no way that it can mitigate anything going on that commercial property. This is unfair. There are many deficiencies with this project. A peer review should have been conducted and results posted. An updated landscaping plan should have been requested. A lighting plan should have been submitted per special permit regulations. And an updated site plan with proposed changes should have been brought to hearing. It is time for the Zoning Board of Appeals to do the right thing, to enforce the conditions of the special permit and to protect the citizens of this community whom they are committed to serve. I'm asking the Zoning Board to uphold the language of the special permit and enforce any applicable zoning laws pertaining to this project, and to honor what was agreed upon and what became a legal part of the special permit. Proof of my grievance is self-evident. Voting against this appeal would be voting against your own regulations. I request that you appeal the building commissioner's decision to provide 68 Mercantile Way with an occupancy permit without enforcement of the language of condition number 6 of the special permit, which was issued on July 27, 2022, and to require the homeowner/developer of aforementioned property to plant trees a maximum distance of 8 feet apart along the entire north border within the 10-foot buffer zone until reaching the natural undisturbed wooded area along the east border. So that basically means the entire north border of their property. Standing dead trees at the property line resulting from the excavation and development of their property should also be removed and new trees planted. Furthermore, the developer/petitioner should be made to comply with all lighting requirements as specified in the Mashpee special permit regulations. Thank you.
Okay, if I can just say one thing. So we need to stay focused on what the appeal is, which is number 6.
Yeah, I'd also like to look at the approved plan.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
And I also have comments to make, so you tell me when that would be appropriate.
So I think, yeah, why don't you
Okay.
chime in now?
Great, thanks. Thank you all for being here and staying here tonight. I'm Jean Clapper, 10 Sugar Pine Circle, Mashpee, direct abutter to 68 Mercantile Way. I've owned this property jointly with my husband since 2009 for our personal use only. We are both retired. We live here full-time, year-round. As a residential homeowner, abutting 68 Mercantile Way, it makes no sense to me that we as Mashpee residents have the burden to file and appeal the building permit or occupancy permit being issued by Mr. Morris, the building commissioner. This despite a written agreement, condition number 6, which he was informed prior to issuing the occupancy permit. We gave him a call and said, hey, just a heads up, this isn't in compliance. And, you know, we're hoping everybody would work with us to help mitigate this issue. That didn't happen. So he was informed that prior to issuing it, it was not and is not in compliance. Additionally, as Mashpee residents, again, private homeowners, we were required to pay the commercial rate of approximately $350 to file this as an appeal, rather than what it is, non-compliance to a legal agreed-upon condition as the zoning enforcement officer. That's what I heard you say a short time ago. Frustrating. Again, as an appeal by us to this commercial project, which the zoning board heard and the building commissioner ultimately granted, which does not meet the conditions. We reached out, we spoke to you, Mr. Morris, prior to it being issued. We again informed you it was not met. You gave it anyway. According to the Mashpee website, which states in part, quote, the mission of the Zoning Board of Appeals is to hold a public hearing to address requests for relief. We came in good faith. We attended the ZBA on 7/27/22 and worked together in good faith to come to an agreement, which includes condition number 6, which states, again, the applicant install white pine trees 8 feet apart, 8 feet tall, along the north border. You've heard it. Condition number 6 is not met, remains in non-compliance. Mr. Hostetter, the property owner, responded to an email on 11/13. Again, we've been dealing with this for 2.5 years. Finally responded to my husband, reiterating that, quote, he's not required to do anything, and that we, the homeowners, could plant trees on our property to screen. We're going to have to do that anyway. This 8 foot apart, and look at this. This isn't a buffer anyway, but we conceded and agreed at this hearing on that 8 foot apart, 8 foot trees, and we said, then we'll do what we need to do to try and make this property livable. As homeowners he also told us maybe you shouldn't have bought next to residential or commercial property. As homeowners who have also previously owned residential property abutting a commercial property in Millbury, where the buffer zone was adequate, we had no issues, no complaints, and the commercial owner even went so far as to provide Thanksgiving turkeys each year to all the abutters. We're not looking for anything other than what was agreed upon in condition number 6, in writing, and as such is now legally required to be done. The commercial property did not meet this condition, and it seems as if the building commissioner looked the other way. Mr. Morris, you were yet to respond to me when I asked, how can you explain about 8 foot apart trees can be approved for 20 foot plus apart? And you offered me no response when I asked how the required plantings could stop at a random point along the border. If you go and get a haircut, and they only cut half your head, you're going to say that's great? No, it's not professional. It's not done properly. I'll continue. Sorry. Thereby having, okay, so now, again, because it stopped at the 60-yard dumpster, which wasn't on the plan, not shown on the plans, we have full sight of that from my kitchen window, from my backyard, my patio. a 60-yard dumpster, commercial trucks, and parking areas, in addition to these obtrusive lights that are operating throughout the night. Throughout the night. Why? We approached we reached out to Mr. Hostetter about the lights, and he informed us that as he is selling these units off, each owner will have their own ideas about their condos, he called them, and needed security, so we'd have to deal with them each individually. That will further challenge our ability to have this property be a good neighbor to us, residential abutters. What has occurred here is obviously detrimental. That was a word you used, Mr. Bondy. It's obviously detrimental to our property and quality of life. And I wonder, whose interest does the town protect? At this point, it certainly doesn't seem like it's us, the homeowners, that we had to bring this to an appeal for non-compliance. I appreciate your time, and I thank you all for your consideration. But I'd love
Question.
to understand.
Is there a fence around the dumpster?
No.
No.
There was a fence on the proposed plan for a 15-yard dumpster, which has since been removed from the property.
Stop.
Next to, let me answer the
Can
question,
we-
please,
I'm
sir.
gonna stop, because I'm the chairman of this board. This appeal is based on trees number 6 only. I don't know anything about a dumpster. I don't care about a dumpster.
Why? It wasn't on the original
These
plan.
issues are all,
Nothing to do with this appeal.
So I have to
well,
file
this is an
again for
addition,
350?
this is addition to it, sir.
You getting all this?
There's an addition. Mr. Bonvy, I have a question for you. When we met the other day on the property,
First of all,
to
I'd like to say
review,
the following. We listened to your input. I need to say the following. I was asked by the town manager of this town to go out and do an inspection with the zoning enforcement officer of this town. I did that. I went out to your property.
You went to the abutters property,
the
not
abutters
our property.
I
Thank
was
you.
asked to look at the trees for compliance of number 6.
okay,
So I was asked to do. I did that. I
Mm-hmm.
took pictures. They're in my phone.
okay.
I'm of the opinion of the following. There are certainly trees that are further than 8 feet apart.
I can give you the exact distances if you would like, and
I
if the
did not
board would
measure
like.
them. I did not
If any
measure
member
them.
of the board would like.
I did not measure them.
There's
In
none
many
that are 8.
cases, they were more than 8 feet apart because there's some existing trees there.
Negative.
I wouldn't want
That is
to-
not true. This is a newly developed buffer zone. There are no existing trees that
Show us
were
the
there.
pictures and show the public those pictures.
So
if you have them.
you're not stating facts, sir. All right? I have,
I'm
I can
telling
tell you-
what I saw.
I know what
Now,
you
when
saw.
we were out there, we had a conversation.
Yes.
I said to you, I felt that it is in compliance of the plan. Okay?
Did you also state that if all these trees were cut down, you would still approve it?
Yes, you did.
No, I did not.
Sir,
You were there. Does
sir,
it stand
you
if all
are
these trees
perjuring
were cut
yourself.
down, I would approve it.
I don't remember.
Mr. Morris was really more concerned about trespassing on the
Just say
property
that.
than having any kind of an intelligent discussion about
The
this.
trees, in my opinion, were planted
8 feet
per the
apart?
plan, per the zoning enforcement officer's decision to approve or disapprove.
I understand that, but it does not have anything, it does not meet the
Board-
conditions of the special
This board,
permit.
let me say what I need to say. This board approves or disapproves applications. We approve or disapprove variances, special permits, findings, et cetera. The person who makes a decision whether that permit is in compliance is that gentleman right there.
So we
Now,
would,
I was asked, I didn't want to go out because I have, technically, it is not my job, not even my authority, to make sure that a plan is followed or not followed. That's his job. I did go out, though, because I was asked to do so. Very rarely am I asked, but I was asked. And I went out and looked, okay? It is my opinion that this plan right here, and if you'd like to come up and take a look
Is this a
at it,
proposed plan? You don't have, you just tell me, is that the proposed?
it's the one that's signed.
The one that's
This is
signed.
a legal document.
That's the proposed plan.
Plan that I took with me to that site in my car. Your site is in substantial compliance of this plan.
so that has nothing to do with the meeting on 7/27/22?
I'd like to take a picture of this.
I asked you a
commercial-
question. I'd like that answered first, please.
What's your question again?
Was that part of the meeting that we all attended on 7/27/22.
I don't know the day, is that the day I was at the site?
Can you look at the plan and see what the dates?
This is what I brought with me to the site.
I understand that, Mr. Bonvy, but
not either.
when that plan was proposed at the special permit meeting, additional conditions, landscape conditions were created.
That's the sign plan.
What's the date of this plan, sir?
The zoning board felt that they didn't need an updated plan, that the writing of the condition was appropriate. There's no real need, and I certainly wouldn't have pushed that issue because I know what 8 feet is. I have a tape measure. I expected I expected the exact plantings according to the condition that was agreed upon by all parties. That condition exists. That condition exists at the Registry of Deeds as an official document. You need to uphold the conditions of a special permit. I can't see this board moving in any other direction other than that. That's the whole idea behind the whole process. If there are conditions that need to be done, and I've been hearing it all night long about other projects that are being presented to you.
Why don't we hear from the zoning enforcement officer at this point?
Thank you.
Well, I did put my decision in writing. I don't see,
Do we have it? Why don't we read it in?
but this, the basis of the appeal, do we have the as-built? We can compare it to that?
That's what this is, right?
That's
Signed
the
plan.
proposed, and we have an as-built.
Does the as-built have the trees
Is the
on it?
approved plan.
It has every tree, every single tree.
Yes, it does, and it also shows them in noncompliance, because if you look at the scale and the amount of trees planted and where it is adjacent to our property lines, it does not comply.
This is
The-
the as-built.
the
So I just,
compliant-
here's what I want to show you. That's the
There
as-built.
there are
See bottom right
trees,
corner, it says
there are
as-built.
trees.
One person talking, please.
There are trees on the north side. This does not say go entirely or go to stop to any point of the, which,
Why are you so in favor of a developer against the residents of this town?
because it is in compliance.
It's not in compliance, sir. They're not 8 feet apart.
Some of them are 8 feet apart.
No, they're not.
None of them are 8 feet apart, sir. Would you like the measurements?
It's along the north border. It doesn't say you have to go within the 10.
Why are you in favor of the developer on this? You're supposed to protect us as residents. What's going on here, guys?
Both sides have.
All right, everybody can't be talking at the same time.
Both sides have my
Let's get some
protection.
control on this, Ron.
They have a right to
You-
build,
If I'm gonna
they have a
control
right
it,
to
then
build
I'm gonna control it.
an in,
People are gonna listen, including the
a
board.
building there.
One person at a
Was given by the board, so
Here's
they
what I
have a
want to do
right to
is let
build.
let the
You have a
zoning
right to
enforcement
your
officer speak, and
protection.
then you're going to be able to rebut. Go ahead, David, please.
We didn't hear what you just said because you were being spoken over, if you could, please. Thank you.
I
Sorry.
was saying both sides do have my protection. They have a right to build, you have the right for your protection. I think it's a little misleading saying that you are in a butter, I get, but there is, your direct abutter is the town of Mashpee, and you have a 75-foot buffer zone built in, which a lot of people on the industrial zone do not have. Again.
It's a moot
there
point,
are-
sir.
Again, if you compare to the as-built to the proposed, the job, which I said is very professionally done, is a correct statement, and I'll leave it at that.
All right, I'd like to show you, if I may, the as-built that this board has.
I have a copy of the as-built, sir.
So and that's this right here?
Yes,
says
it
in
is.
the bottom right, as-built.
Yes.
Do you have a copy of the approved plan?
The one that was signed off.
This is
Yes,
the
the
signed-
proposed plan, I do, yes, sir.
This is the approved signed plan.
Yes.
This would be the plan that you make reference to, and this is the as-built.
That plan would be referred to without changes. If there are any changes to that plan, they should have been presented to the board. And it should have been brought to open hearing so that we would have been able to discuss those changes, such as distances.
The reason for me saying what I'm saying is, I will right now count the trees on the approved plan, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
I have
on the approved
15.
plan, and here's the amount of trees on the as-built plan. An as-built plan is what actually is out in the field. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23.
Yes.
That's the as-built plan.
Now, those,
One's the
out of those
approved-
trees, only 15 of them are the north border. You're looking at trees also that abut another commercial property.
So
Correct?
15 of
Is that
them-
correct?
The 15 of them cover the whole north border of the property.
They do not cover the whole north border. If you were to look again, you would notice, and I submitted as part of my appeal a plan that shows the deficiencies.
The key is what was approved and what was built. Am I right?
8-foot trees, 8-foot
Am I right?
apart
Correct.
along the north border,
Excuse me for a
right?
second.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was a question, I thought.
Excuse me. David, is that correct? What was approved and what was actually
Yeah, I
built?
mean, again, you look at that and you can say that it was unprofessionally done. It would be tough to argue.
It is not in compliance. The distances are not accurate. They were planted incorrectly. Would you like the tree distances? I have them here in front of me. There are 15 trees planted along the north border. Between 1 and 2, it's 9 feet. Between 2 and 3, 10 feet. Between 3 and 4, 11 feet. Between 4 and 5, 15 feet. Between 5 and 6, 12 feet. Between 6 and 7, 12 feet. Between 7 and 8, 22 feet. No, sir. Between 8 and 9, 19 feet. And the 19-foot spacing is to accommodate for a wellhead, which is within the 10-foot buffer zone. That's against Mass General laws. But that's not on the proposed plan either. 9 to 10, 11 feet. 10 to 11, 12 feet. 11 to 12, 11 feet. 12 to 13, 12 feet. 13 to 14, 11 feet. 14 to 15, 12 feet, which leaves approximately 60 feet of unprotected north border.
Which has the dumpster in it that was not on the plan, with no fence. And that's what we look directly at and hear.
It's not that it's unprotected either. That's not.
It is unprotected, sir. I have a clear view of it every day.
Is the lot cleared from the last tree on the north border that's planted, all the way over to the lot's border?
Where the east, there's an undisturbed east border, which buffers the paper road, Great Hay, I believe it is.
Right.
So the north border continues until it meets the east border.
Do you expect there to be plantings in that area?
Absolutely, it's to buffer the parking area. Absolutely.
No, we're
No,
disconnecting.
he's talking before that. No, not after the thing,
I'm
but
talking in the area, let's say, of the dumpster, somewhere in the area of the dumpster, somewhere between the dumpster, okay, and the other lot corner, okay? There were trees where it didn't need to be cleared.
correct.
Did you expect there to be trees planted in that area, in that 10-foot setback?
Any place that was
Where it
cleared.
was undisturbed, up to where they didn't disturb it.
Right.
We're fine with that, obviously, but they stopped, and that's what I asked Mr.
This
Morris.
plan depicts that that area that we're discussing is in the area of the dumpster. Is that correct?
That is all
The tree-
unprotected, no trees are there, no planted trees.
Do you have the diagram that I submitted to you as part of the application?
I'm sure we do. Do you have the appeal application?
Yeah, no, the last tree is at the beginning of the 60-yard dumpster is where the last tree that they planted, even though all the ones prior to that aren't in the 8-foot apart, and then the dumpster got dropped off. I have a video of them, doing that at, 6:30 in the
I
morning.
can't believe we're here discussing this. 8 feet is 8 feet, guys. It's not planted 8 feet apart. They're planted further away, and it's going to take years to buffer this commercial property against its residents. I thought you guys were going to step up for us.
Maybe. That's just maybe.
Okay. How does the board want to handle this?
What are you looking for, more trees?
I'm looking for the
Yes,
trees to be
compliance of
planted
what they told us they were gonna
maximum
do.
of 8 feet apart along the, I read it. I'll read it again.
Right. Nothing more than what was agreed upon.
No, yeah, you don't have to read it again.
All right, thank you.
Hold on, hold on, hold on.
Thank you.
It's very simple. The plan's supposed to be 8 feet apart. You're telling us it's not 8 feet apart. You're telling them they are 8 feet apart.
No.
No.
He's not telling
He said
you.
it was professional.
He says he likes how they look and doesn't care about the
It was
distance
a
between the
professional
trees.
job.
Well, that's where I have a problem.
There are, I just try to use my phone so I could show you. On the area of the westerly side here, which is not what he's contending, but it's what I took a picture of. I could have also taken a picture of the northerly side. There are some trees that I didn't use a tape measure, but you can clearly see they're not 8 feet. Why? In this case that I took a picture of, not all cases, there's an existing tree in the middle. You don't want to cut down an existing tree to put a tree.
But you put it 4 feet to
Now,
that
that's
side
not
and 4
saying
feet
that's
to
in the
that
whole
side.
area.
But that's the west border, as you just stated, and we're not concerned about the west
If the new
border.
plantings are more than 8 feet apart, is there a tree between them? There's
No.
an existing
No,
tree?
because they cleared that area,
So there's no trees there.
and there was like a
They
little
should be 8
berm.
feet apart. According to what we approved, they should be 8
Go
feet
look
apart.
at it.
Deal is a deal.
Thank you.
A deal is a deal.
Zoning
A deal
enforcement
is a
officer.
deal.
Don't be rude.
I'm not, but that's what I heard from him.
You keep repeating that. It's not
I'm
normal.
sorry, it's what I'm learning.
Can I
It's
say
very,
something?
yes.
Right from the beginning, there was attitudes that you should control. I understand your frustration.
I'm very upset about this because,
Try to listen
I appro-
and to help you.
Yes.
but
As best we
you
can.
don't know what got us to this point, sir. I'm sorry. And I apologize if I offend anybody for my attitude,
Right,
but I have justification for it.
We can hear you.
Okay.
If you can just tone it down, we can come to some kind of an agreement, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know.
But what we don't understand is
We're
why
listening.
we had to,
We're listening.
why we had
Why
to
don't we-
enforce
so,
it.
If you're done with your presentation, I'd like to go to the audience and see if there's anyone in the audience who'd like to speak up. You have something to say, sir? Why don't you say who
You
you
need
are?
you need a microphone.
Grab a microphone.
Yeah.
No, you gotta
No,
speak.
you gotta use the
They're
mic.
gonna be
You're
able to
on
pick it up.
TV.
Yeah, name it, yeah, all that.
Good evening, everybody. Roger Brooks from Cape Wide Construction. I'm also a Mashpee resident, if that matters. May I turn and address them?
You should address the board, really.
The board. So the first thing, when I first heard about this, I happened to be on vacation the day that Mr. Clapper came to the job site, the day after the trees were planted. Maybe it was that day they finished, I'm not exactly sure. I watched the video from 7/27/22, and if that hasn't been done by the board, that needs to be pulled up and watched.
I did.
Good, because what you said in there is, please recall, you don't have to do any of this.
Yeah.
But we're agreeing to do it. And it was at quite an expense to the owner. They are not planted at 8 feet on center. I laid them out at 10 feet on center, because the agreement was, we love what you did at Franny, it looks great, do what you did there. So I went and measured the trees that are there, they're 10 to 12 feet on center. I laid them out at 10 feet, done.
If I can interject, you want to look at July 27, 2022, and start at 49.37 minutes, and you will see exactly what he said. I was just waiting for this, because it is my opinion that the intent of the presentation has been followed. Period. Everybody's been yelling, screaming, and all the rest, but look at 49.37 seconds. You will see it. It's very clear. And as a matter of fact, I'm speaking now. As a matter of fact, you two were not the two that were being very concerned about the plantings. It was Mr. Boyden.
Who has since passed.
Well, I'm not saying that. All that I'm saying to you is, it wasn't an issue for you as much as Mr. Boyden. Mr. Boyd, well, listen, everybody, 49.37 seconds. She's saying it's not true. Listen to it. It's on the town website. Mr. Boyden was very concerned about tree planting, and went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and the other site was questioned.
And we weren't there at the moment to know exactly what spacing they were at. So when it was time to plant the trees, we went and measured exactly what was there, and lo and behold, there's actually still a tag on one of the trees from when they were planted originally that shows they came from the same nursery that we got these from. So when was that done? Franny Labs 15 years ago? 15 years, they should have the same buffer.
I entice everybody in this board to look at, again, was it July 27?
I'm confused. Was it approved at 8 feet, or was it just a suggestion?
It was a suggestion.
Can I?
Why don't we finish this up
Mr.
and vote?
Yeah.
Brooks, can I rebut what his statements were?
Certainly.
I appreciate it.
Finish it up.
Eric Clapper, 10 Sugar Pine Circle. Conversations were had that day at the special permit. We all know what was said. And we all discussed back and forth what we thought might be the best way to approach this. We came to a condition. It was written. It was filed with the Registry of Deeds. That's what we expected when we walked away from the planning board meeting, the zoning board meeting, that's what we were going to get. Now, 2 years later, you're telling us, no, we don't have to get that because the developer thinks that he doesn't have to do anything. That's not in the zoning bylaws. It's not the purpose of this board. The board is supposed to recognize and help to mitigate against these projects.
Okay, thank you very much. What would the board like to do?
I'd like to just know, is it a suggestion or is it a written?
Yeah, I need some clarification on that.
You may, if you.
It's a written condition and it's filed with the Registry of Deeds. It is a written condition as part of the special permit and was filed with the Registry of Deeds.
Dave, is that how it's written, or is it not? Is it a suggestion that they would do what they can?
It says, condition that the applicant install white pine trees 8 feet apart, 8 feet tall along the north border within the 10-foot zone. So it doesn't say how many trees, how many.
Doesn't say where to start, stop.
Along the north border, 8 feet.
That would mean the entire north border.
So there's part of the north border has been cleared.
It's what?
There's part of the north border that's never been cleared. It's still natural. Do you cut the trees and put them?
Plant trees along the damn north border. The whole length of the north border, 8 feet apart.
So you're gonna go cut trees to plant trees?
No, you
And we
plant them
didn't ask for
in
that.
the
No,
developed.
but you're saying you can't have your cake and eat it too. You're saying the north border needs trees.
Yes.
All the north border.
Yes, and you can
You gotta cut
intelligently.
trees to plant trees.
No, you don't. What you do need to do is plant trees in the area that was developed.
I
It was
understand,
disturbed and
but what
torn
Mike
down.
just said is you gotta plant trees in the whole north border. There's a lot of the north
Well,
border.
if that's
Is
what,
what the
if
condition
that's what they
says.
have to do, and if they have to plant in the undisturbed area, so be it. That's not what we're looking for. All we're looking for is a mitigation against this project based on the conditions that were set forth.
Board want to do? What's the recommendation?
Let's vote.
Okay, right now, we've got, so sitting on this is 4 regular members and Mike.
Before I can vote, I just need some clarity. If we conditioned that the trees have to be 8 feet apart, and I'm being told that the trees
There's
are
the
not.
condition. That's the actual condition.
White
It's-
pine trees, 8 feet apart.
Right?
Okay, that's my clarity. I get my clarity.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Let's vote.
Okay.
Well,
What's the motion?
we can't.
What's the motion?
So I guess we make the motion to
Make it in the
uphold,
affirmative.
we're gonna do it in the pause.
In the positive.
Can I make one additional comment, guys? And I mean this sincerely. We're not looking to pull an occupancy permit from my neighbors. They're conducting business, they're fairly reasonable about it. That's not our intention, is to shut down their operation. We know that we abut a commercial property. All we're asking for is what we sat down and agreed upon on the 27th of July in 2022. Since that time, I do have to say that there were certain things that were overlooked as part of the special permit application. The developer and builder was supposed to submit a lighting plan.
Excuse me.
That's in the regulations.
Yeah, that's not the part of
All
the
right.
appeal.
Okay, well, we'll put it under new business then as soon as we're done. Is that fine?
Great.
Can we do that?
Let me tell you, it's not part of this appeal.
Okay.
So I'd like to have a motion. Motion should state something to the effect.
Charlie can read.
Let's just figure out the type of motion that we're voting on, what it means. As I understand it, the issue that you have is that you're appealing.
No.
Oh.
No. Now, you've got a motion there.
No, I do, but note that you're appealing Dave's decision that what was done was in compliance with what was required for the certificate of
Not
occupancy.
in
Well, it was
compliance.
not in compliance.
Not in compliance.
Yeah, take, one step at a time. I
Yes.
get very confused because I'm
Mhm.
old. all right?
No, that's.
No, that's fine.
Understood.
We're going to get through this.
All right, so what you're doing is you're saying David was wrong in issuing the certificate of occupancy because the trees were not planted 10 feet, 8 feet apart, as you say was under the, what was approved by the zoning board of appeals, right?
Yes, paragraph 6.
All right,
Yes.
That's it.
Yes, and that's my understanding.
If we vote.
We're voting on that.
No, if we vote, that's what we're voting on. And so if we vote yes, we're saying that David was correct in the decision that he made in issuing the certificate of
Was it the other way
compliance.
around?
Yeah, if you're voting in favor of my
Yes,
appeal.
If you read this motion into the record right now, if we vote yes, has turned up, you are upholding the building enforcement officer's decision, okay, in reference to the issuance of the occupancy.
Right, yeah.
So yes, David's
Yes
right.
means you're upholding him, no means you're denying.
That's correct. That's what we have to be clear on.
So yes means
Who's on this? Us four
4
and,
plus.
No, I'm not. Yeah.
So if you vote yes, when he reads this motion, you are saying that David did the right thing.
Right.
And we vote no,
Right.
we're voting to plant trees.
We're voting to
No.
the trees have to be 8 feet.
no, that's
all
not
we're
part of
doing-
it. All we're
voting
doing
no.
is answering this
Appeal.
complaint.
But this was
He's
how we
gonna
were
read a
told
motion,
to
Moving
excuse
do
forward
it.
from there.
He's gonna read a motion. If
That's
you
it.
vote in favor of the motion, you are in agreement with David. If you vote against the motion, you're saying David made a mistake.
That doesn't make sense.
Can I ask one thing? We are not trying to get Mr. Morris or anybody else in trouble. We called, we said, hey, we weren't looking to pull back the permit. We just
This is the
want what was
process.
told
Okay,
to be
we're
done,
not-
Could you
to be
stop
done.
everything? Stop.
We're
Make
trying
the
to vote.
motion, please.
Okay. We have a procedure that is being followed. You're here, you follow the procedure that we have to follow, okay? And this does not require any comment from you. It requires the board listening to what I say and making a decision. So,
Read it.
no, I just want to start this thing. To make a motion, 68 Mercantile Way, petitioner Eric B. Clapper, 10 Sugar Pine Circle, Mashpee, is appealing the building commissioner's decision under Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A, 8 and 15, to issue a certificate of occupancy based on Condition 6 of the Zoning Board of Appeals decision, SP 2022-29, on property located in the I-1 and Light Industrial Districts, map 88, parcel 91, Mashpee, Mass, with the following. The motion. That the Zoning Board of Appeals has determined to uphold the building commissioner's decision regarding his enforcement jurisdiction with respect to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy based on condition number 6 of the Zoning Board of Appeals decision, SP 2022-29, for the property located at 68 Mercantile Way, map 88, parcel 91, Mashpee, Mass, and finds that the petitioner, Eric B. Clapper, who resides at 10 Sugar Pine Circle, Mashpee, Mass, has not established a factual or legal basis to support the appeal of the building inspector's determination. That is the motion before the board.
Roll call vote.
I'm sorry, I got one question. If the vote goes against Dave's decision, as one member, if I vote against his decision, I'm not voting against him having an occupancy permit. I have no problem with the building getting an occupancy permit. My only thing is the tree spacing.
Yeah.
I don't want to vote against the occupancy permit. And am I voting
That's
against the
not what
occupancy?
Yes.
voting-
Okay.
No, we're not.
That's what came up in the motion,
It does,
is
it
the
is,
occupancy
that's
permit.
part of the
Well,
motion.
again, I want to,
I didn't ask
This
you.
Doesn't
motion-
matter. It's-
No, no,
this
no.
is what it is.
This is between the board at this point. This motion that he just made states that it's going to uphold the building commission's decision regarding its enforcement jurisdiction with respect to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. If you
So why we have to vote?
That's, if you vote,
All right.
what we're saying is,
I know.
if you disagree with David, occupancy goes.
I'd like to speak.
No, I'm
No,
sorry,
we're in
we're
the
making,
middle of
we're
this.
making a decision
It's not,
right now.
the public hearing hasn't been closed. I have a right to speak.
Close it right now.
You're going to close it on me without speaking? Really?
We have a motion on the floor.
Really?
We're just
No, no, no,
homeowners,
hold
you
it.
know?
There's a motion on the floor. Roll call vote. Mike?
This is a tough one for me. I don't believe that we went through the right channels, did the right thing here, but don't want to, the occupancy thing bothers me.
That's my
So
Us
the
too.
motion-
It bothers us too, but this was the way,
Motion, is that what I'm gonna vote on?
That's the motion you're voting
the
on.
motion.
That's how it's
In
at.
favor of them, but I'm not because of the occupancy thing. So I vote in favor of Dave against my better judgment because the motion is ill-written.
The motion's very poorly written.
well, then let's,
We can't change the motion.
Was it seconded?
why can't it be, why can't we talk about this?
Because it's now to the board at this
No,
point.
I understand that, but now we're changing things and we're twisting things around. You know,
Stop right now. Just stop.
I applied for this.
Wait,
I'd
wait,
really
wait,
like to
stop,
speak,
please.
please.
We've got to make a decision here based on.
Close the public hearing.
Wow.
Let's do one last thing. I've got to do this. Sir, you keep raising your hand. You're in the audience. I took one other person from the audience. I need to listen to you. Yes, sir. What can I do for you? Please give your name. I have to do this. Give your name and your involvement, please.
My name is Stephen Bernard. I'm resident of 7 Sugar Pine Circle, a neighbor to the Clappers. I've been in observation of the hearings this evening, and I just want to, believe it or not, compliment all of you for taking the time to listen and deliberate and ask questions of all the residents and discuss among you before making a competent decision. It's a very difficult job, I know. The Mercantile has been developed over the last 5 to 10 years quite nicely with light industrial complexes. It's just about 20 feet down the Great Neck Road south from Sugar Pine Circle. And as you know, Sugar Pine Circle is right on the bend of the road. Right on the bend of the road. So there is an impact to our neighborhood on a traffic basis from the development of the light industrial businesses on Mercantile. And that's a detriment, that in itself is somewhat of a detriment, having little to do with this particular case, to the safety of the neighborhood. As you know, there's a walking path, a bike path, a running path all along Great Neck Road South that is signature to that road. And tens of people, if not more, use that road for exercise every day. And it's becoming increasingly dangerous with light industrial equipment
If I
coming
can
in and
just
out
say,
of
sir, if you could
Mercantile.
just
I'm
stay.
getting to the point, I'm getting to my point, okay.
Please, which
Getting to-
is in reference to the tree planting.
yeah, well, this is all in reference, because we're talking about the detriment to the neighborhood. And now we're talking about a property that has been developed, and then there's a hearing in 22 where an agreement was made in the people constructing the business argued and discussed and came up with an agreement that I believe from the hearing of the Clappers and from the questions of the board, clearly was decided to, in protection of the residents of Sugar Pine Circle, of which I am one. And if now we have a situation where the owners of the commercial property are not living up to the stated decisions that were made in 22, it leads me to believe that the detriment to the neighborhood is probable that these landlords will not live up to other stipulations as we go forward. Because as you know, industrial properties, all they do is go downhill over years from use of the building, from the traffic, from the light trucks, et cetera. Now, I feel that in deference to the chair, that to indicate that this appeal is by denying the commissioner's decision to grant a occupancy kills it is not necessarily the case. It is my belief, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, if there are substantial changes to a plan that the commercial owners of the property can come back in a very short period of time, as opposed to a 6 months or a year, whatever that stipulation is for your ordinances, that if he makes substantial changes to his plan, which would be, to, in this case, hopefully, be in compliance to the original agreement of 22.
Sir, I might be able to cut you short. I concur what you're saying.
Yeah,
Let me
come back, so it doesn't kill.
Let me help you one better. Let me help you one better. Would you be willing to amend your motion?
That's what I'm looking
and
at.
strike certificate of occupancy?
Yeah. I am. I'm just trying to figure out the way to, let me suggest something.
Very simple.
All right.
If you were to read that the zoning board of appeals determined to uphold the building commission's decision regarding the enforcement jurisdiction in respect to condition 6 of the zoning bylaws, zoning board of appeals decision, and just strike the rest of it.
Yes.
That will give the board's ability to make a decision based only on condition 6.
And it will not revoke.
It will not revoke, and at that point in time, I concur with your statement, sir.
Okay, I'd like to, I began with a compliment, I'm going to end with a compliment, that I believe that reasonable man rule, in this case, with your final amendment, says to me that the Clapper's argument is certainly sufficient for you to deny the appeal or approve the appeal. In this case, as you might be changing the wording.
Thank you very much, sir.
Read the amended.
No,
So
let's,
please read that.
let's make sure that we have what everybody agrees we should have. That the zoning board of appeals has determined to uphold the building commissioner's decision regarding his enforcement jurisdiction with respect to condition 6 of the zoning board of appeals decision for the property located at 68 Mercantile Way, and going on from there.
That is correct.
Has nothing to do with the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, only deals with condition 6.
It's a completely
Correct.
different motion.
Completely
Okay.
different motion.
Yep.
Okay, so
Right.
let's get before we vote, let's get the ground rules correct. A yes vote means,
A yes vote means that David made a mistake.
No.
No, 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 no.
Does
Other
not.
way around.
that's what I
See, this is-
Should we close public hearing?
I'll tell you,
Yeah, close
I've
public
been
hearing
doing this for 19 years.
Close the public hearing.
You are correct.
all right, let's close the public hearing. I agree.
Got a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
If you vote in favor of the motion, you are saying to David that he followed the rules correctly and condition number 6 has been upheld and is correctly been handled. The trees are installed correctly. If you vote against this motion, you were saying, David, the trees are not installed correctly, you need to look at them again.
Well, since I'm gonna be talking to David in the future, I don't wanna get mad at me, just get the landscapers to plant some more trees, so you wanna take a vote?
Well, this is what we're doing right now.
It's not up to us to make a decision how David's gonna handle it. It's up to us to make a decision whether we're gonna approve Mr. Clapper's appeal.
Okay, let's, all right, let's.
So, again, if you vote in favor of this motion, you are voting in favor of David, and you're saying the trees
Are okay the way they
are
are.
okay the way they are. If you vote against it, you're saying the trees are not okay the way they are. What did you say, Charlie?
He's read his motion.
You read the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is everybody
Roll call
clear?
Yes.
Mike?
I vote no.
Okay.
No.
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 Okay, thank you very much.
What happens now?
It's up
What
to
happens
David.
now goes back to David. I presume David's gonna have to deal with it. I presume he'll call the people who planted the trees who are sitting
Work
in
it
the
out.
audience.
Do we have
And I
any
presume,
timeframe?
that
No,
would
we
be
don't.
between you and David.
That's not us.
Yeah, they can be done year-round.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Okay, let's move on. What's next?
We wait a little bit longer to work with our neighbors who really want to be, have a good relationship.
It's all good.
Whose pictures?
They came with a
Those are
package.
part of our filing.
No, that's denied.
You gotta check the right box. You gotta have it redone. She
Yeah,
won't
you gotta have that
accept
redone. It's denied, not approved.
Let me,
Followed you.
I don't know,
So used to-
Mary Ann, can you
sorry.
accept that?
Ron,
cross it out, or-
Ron, let me just,
Initial
just
it?
so we all understand the process now.
All right,
David
just initial it.
is going to determine what needs to be done
Going
to make sure that condition 6 is fully complied with.
Agreed.
To the letter of the law.
Right.
So how do I have the authority to do that?
We just gave it to you.
I would hope that the person who built the building would put the trees as close to, I'll use the word exact, there's no such thing, 8 foot on center.
Add additional trees or move trees and add trees.
Right, just put them 8, and frankly, if there's a tree there, you gotta put white pines, 8 foot on center.
I would suggest that you might want to
Here you
be
go.
compromising in that, stagger the trees a little bit.
I'd love to see that, but I do need a maximum distance of 8 feet. I can't really,
It should not be.
If they want to add them in between, that's up to them. If they want to move trees,
move the trees, great. If they can't, they're gonna have to plant trees.
Bottom line, condition number 6 clearly states 8 foot on center, period. And so, problem you get into out there that I see, and that's between, you do have a couple scenarios where there's existing trees there. And they're not 8 foot on center because of it.
Very
You
good.
wanna fall 8
That would be
foot,
on the west border, you said?
I think there's some in the north too.
Well, everything along the north border is newly developed. They excavated.
We gotta finish up.
Get some aspirin.
Ron,
And
let's,
then they created a 10-foot buffer. zone.
whatever was
So
agreed,
that's all
whatever was
brand
agreed
new.
on the original agreement.
That's all
North,
brand new.
east, whatever, whatever's in the agreement.
I'm not party to the next one in reference to the comments, so you guys are gonna have to,
Common value. We
want to
can-
read other business?
well,
The other business is Petchy's bill for services.
yeah, I
in
can't do
Mashpee
that.
Commons.
We can, I know
you
you're
can do
off
that.
it.
Why don't we approve the minutes for November 13, 2024 right now?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Done.
Okay, all's in favor?
Aye.
So, at this point in time, I have no additional, so why don't you guys deal with the Petchy thing in the Commons, and I'm gonna leave.
Go.
You leave.
There you go. Let me 1 second, and I'll get out of here
You
real
have
quick.
enough people to vote on the Petchy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. Bondi,
yes.
I'm sorry.
No,
Do we
that's-
have time for new business?
No.
No.
No, because you're not on,
20 minutes at 10.
yeah, and you're not on the,
That's fine. We'll wait till the next.
so you're gonna have to go through that, Mary Ann, and that's mine right there. Because there's some legal documents in there.
Lighting on that building.
Yes.
Are you gonna address that?
Yeah, we can't deal with that now.
It's been addressed.
No, let's,
We're not dealing with it now.
Chairman here, we don't have a vice chairman here.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna leave if we don't get this done. I'm out of here.
okay. The pet,
There's a long story to tell.
Make a motion to.
Ronnie,
just
don't-
make
the
a
pet,
motion
the
to-
Petri bill has been reviewed. It appears to be in order for the work done. I move that it be,
I
I'll
got
second.
an email that.
All in favor?
All in favor?
aye.
Make a motion that we close this hearing.
Good luck with the knee.
I made a motion that we'll close this hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Good night.
This is the only one that looks like this, and this